We weren't recording?
No, we weren't recording.
Is this the beginning of us not recording?
Yeah.
You son of a bitch! This is the first time it's happened to us.
Oh, what a rib! I do it to. I've done that to Anthony once or twice.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, I did not.
So we're starting this podcast after already having done.
We were
30
talking
fucking minutes.
we caught up for 15 minutes there. That was fine.
Holy fuck. Well, hi, Ben.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you son of a bitch. Yeah, we can't go back over any of that. That was too on the moment.
Right.
Okay, that's safe. That's safe. It's safe for my family that I'm not giving out fucking old fucking stories and shit.
I mean, we did. Yeah, we could tell stories, but we don't need to go over your tennis career again.
No.
That might have, you know.
I actually like it more now because everyone's listening like tennis career. But now we're never going to talk about this again.
We've mentioned that you played tennis when you were...
As a kid, I played all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But...
It's funny, though. We were talking about... I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah.
I don't know how funny this would be to talk about, but I think it might be a little interesting to kind of talk about some of the shit we go through in our lives. But we were talking about the softball thing, and I remember we played with Seth, our man in charge.
Yeah.
Are we ready to like talk about any of that? Because there's got to be some good stories now that you said we've put it off for a couple weeks. You ready to talk about our clownish work situation that we had for? I mean, I haven't been involved. You're still involved with the whole saga, but I have not been involved since December when he...
So we've hinted towards this. Fuck it. You know what? Why not?
Yeah.
Like he's going to listen to this, and even if he does, like he's actually going to like reach out, which would be a miracle in itself. So the work situation is simple. Currently, I'm still working for this other company. They love me. We're having a great relationship, and things are starting to kind of like very slowly trickle in, and we...
I mean, you have to...
I'm going to get to everything. So,
but like you're having to kind of rebuild this business from scratch.
Yes, because my former employer is very bad at what he did.
Right.
Exceptionally so.
Yeah.
It's in many ways, Ben, it's incredible. It's incredible how bad he was at some of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
And in other ways, it's like, wow, just like every guy in the business that you meet, you're just the same kind of shitty salesperson, and like, it's fucking. It's been a long journey though. It's been a long journey.
It's funny because it's like I feel like I haven't purposefully gotten into work situations or trades, like types of work where, that on purpose where everything's a seedy fucking shit show.
Yeah.
But most of my life, I've worked with people that were in businesses that were seedy fucking shit shows.
Yeah.
Like comic books. I mean, for years, I worked or were friends with people in the retail industry of that and the creative side and whatever else. But, oh, man, you would be shocked at the fucking... We had at one point, I was working for John and Rob at Tropic Comics. I mean, I'll name all this because the business doesn't even exist anymore. But Rob was already out. He was in law school and whatever else. And John pretty much ran the show. And we would get our books from this distributor. All the comics came through Capital or Diamond.
Yeah.
And so we were getting our comics through Capital. And they had a warehouse right off of Perimeter Road by the airport. And so it was like, a 10-minute drive from the shop. And so you go pick them up. And the guy that ran the regional warehouse, like you could either go pick up the stuff, or if you were a little further, they'd ship it from there. You'd get it a day later. So we would always go. I'd be out the door. I wouldn't even go to shop. You'd pick it up in the morning or wait until the stuff came because you wanted to have the new books as soon as possible for the customers. And this guy that was running the I guess the satellite or the South Florida location for Capital was like this giant crackhead, called Chuck, and Chuck was a cool fucking dude.
Yeah.
He was like a chunky afro. I think he was. I don't know. I think he was a black dude. I like the memory fades now, but the reason I said that I'm not sure is that he kind of talked with a bro kind of delivery. Hey, dude, and huge crackhead, and it got to the point where he would open up the warehouse to us at night. We'd just go meet Chuck at the warehouse. We'd hang out for a little bit, and he'd be like, "Yeah, man, take what you want." And then there was a little slippage of fucking fundage.
Yeah.
For him to go buy his rocks, and and that was that. And then we would go with all this extra shit to conventions and just sell it like for fucking. We were just blowing shit out, like fucking $30 books for $5 and whatever, because we paid way less than that for it.
Yeah.
Until Chuck got caught. And I don't think he rolled on anyone because we kept doing business with Capital. And I guess Chuck went to jail or got fired and asked to never come back. And then the new guy that took over was a straight arrow, and I became really good friends with him. But I mentioned Chuck once, and it was like he couldn't discuss that guy by name without spitting on the floor. Kind of like. But I still talk to the other guy, Cap, online and stuff like that.
I don't think we'll be talking with Seth ever again.
I won't. I mean, unless he wants to be honest,
That's not gonna happen.
I'd love a refreshing case. Honestly.
His honesty isn't what actually happened.
So
in any case,
so it's funny because we've known him for years. He's in the pro wrestling business.
In fact, it's funny. I thought about this a little bit. Like, my first reaction when I met Seth in the wrestling business was, oh, there's the most untrustworthy guy I've ever seen in my entire life. He seems like a piece of shit. And we were like oil and water. We did not get along for the longest time. We didn't even really reconcile in any way until FSCW.
Yeah. I mean, was there heat or you just didn't? Was there an actual issue?
He would sit there and talk shit about ICW endlessly.
Oh, okay.
And he's just one of those guys. He'd actually come to the shows, and there was a moment in time where I had been away. This is when I was working in Texas, and I had been away for 6 months or something. So I came back, and the only person that knew was George. So I was going to do this big run-in at the beginning of the show and this whole 9 yards. So I hid in the rear closet of where we had our gorilla position. Nobody could see me. I must have sat there for a fucking hour, which is fine. I had my phone. I was just playing fucking.
Better than hiding under the ring.
Yeah, way better than hiding under the ring. And way better if hiding under the ring if Kurt Hennig had taken a shit in a bucket and put it under the ring.
Right.
That's a story for another time. But before the show starts, he's talking with. He comes around the corner. I think he's talking with Frank. Bobby's Frank, Fabulous Frank.
Not Frank.
And I can't honestly be sure, but I think it was Frank. And
it would be hard to tell if you didn't actually see the two people because Frank's barely ever utters a word to anybody about anything. He's not much of a conversationalist.
Yeah, he's not. He's very quiet.
Yeah, he's more of a sounding board than
and
an
he's
actual.
Just shitting on everything.
Yeah.
And my first thought was always like, why are you even here then?
It's funny because we would do that now though.
Yeah, but you know what? We
would go to a shit show just for the fact that we knew we were going to a shit show, and then we would shit on said shit show.
And here's the thing though that pissed me off because at the very beginning, especially of ICW, you had every right to shit on everything that was going on. It was fucking terrible.
Right.
I mean,
legitimately was running in
a parking lot of a fucking apartment building.
Right. Where I guess George lived?
Yes.
I mean, that would make the most sense.
I mean, I will tell you that I have very, very fond memories of those times being in it.
Well, when you're in it.
But
when you're in it,
you're
in the trenches.
I can also put my eyes 10 feet above everything happening, disassociated, and I can see it for what it was. I can do both things.
Yeah, an outside perspective.
I have an outside perspective. So, a lot of the criticisms I would hear, especially in that moment with Seth, was like, yeah, those were valid criticisms 4 fucking years ago. Because by the time that he was staying in that building, we were doing good. Like, the shows were way better. We had started bringing in indie guys, and there was a lot more entertaining things happening, and we were working at the Polish American Club, and that building, you didn't have to pack for it to seem.
Back when they had an operational roof, when they had a roof that served the purpose it was designed for.
Oh yeah. Well,
didn't the roof cave in? That's why people stopped running there.
Well, yeah, and the whole building's been. I've drove by it. It's just an empty lot now.
Really?
Yeah, dude. That was. It's funny, in the middle of an insane workday where I'm running like 13 calls, I drive past that. I like almost pulled off because I was just like just like this weird emotion about the whole thing.
It's like remember when they were demolished the Orange Bowl?
Yeah.
And they like people could buy like the seats and the like certain things that were. It was like you almost wish you could have gotten like something off the wall from that place.
Absolutely.
Like the bar. Or,
absolutely. I mean that,
like one of those dumb signs in front of the restroom or anything.
Oh my God, man. That it did hit. It really did.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when I'm hearing him with his criticisms, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, you're just using talking points. You're monkeying. You're parodying. You're not. You. This is the first time the show hasn't even started, and you already have an opinion about everything that's going on because you haven't paid any attention to anything that's happening, and you don't know what you're about to see. Because after the show, I walked up to him, and he did the baby face, like, oh man, it was good, yeah, I didn't know what to expect, it was good,
handshake, smile,
yeah, but I know, I those people, so I really didn't like him.
Yeah.
So when you brought him in, when he was brought in to FSCW, I think that might have been one of the times you had to talk me into thinking this was a good idea. I don't know if I expressed to you or not how I felt about Seth.
I
can't remember.
Well, I'll be honest. My memory and timeline are a little fuzzy.
Okay, so we're both the same.
So I can't tell you that I brought him in as much as maybe that first show we did, the first set of shows, when I did them with Anthony.
Yeah.
That most of that was Anthony pulling guys. Either it was a combination of using guys that had worked before, when Benny was doing it.
Yeah.
Or it was one of AJ's guys that he wanted to use. Was like, well, I got a guy. I got a guy. And so I think it might have been Bobby Rogers and Seth calling those shows.
That seems right.
And so that first one that Anthony and I did, I think I didn't know anybody really.
Oh, okay.
And so I kind of met. It was like on the job training for that one for me. So then, there were all the issues with me and him with the T-shirts, where I
forgot. I keep forgetting about that.
See, here's what happened. I think he did shows for us, and it was like he was like an Jace person. It was like. I mean, at the time, Anthony wrestled as Tommy Vandal, so he was Tommy Vandal and Jace for me. And I was like, okay, it seemed to work out fine, whatever. We didn't record audio for those shows, so it was like I couldn't listen back. And we did the live audio, so I just knew that people laughed and that he was making jokes and doing. It was like fine. So
and he didn't know what was going on because he wasn't even educated in anything. So he was just kind of making fun,
or he didn't do comedy, or he manage someone, but I don't think he dressed up as something and managed anyone.
No.
So I think he was doing commentary.
Because he told me, he goes, the first couple times, he goes, I didn't know fuck all what was happening. It was just, he brought Nina because that, was a place for a kid to come, the convention.
Right.
And he did the commentary because of Vandal, but I don't think he had any idea what the fuck any of that was.
Didn't know.
Yeah.
So then in between that and like the next show, the reason he wasn't at that one was because I was running a T-shirt business at the time, and Barrington Hughes wanted to get T-shirts made. He had a design and everything, and of course it had to be 4-color, so that's more expensive. So I made $0 on it. I was like, listen, man, we're in this little wrestling community. We're working together. You did stuff for me.
Yeah.
You came and wrestled. Listen, it's not my money and my budget. I had a money guy. And when I say money guy, a guy that barely gave me money to run a show. But so you came and wrestled for $20 for us. Listen, what am I going to make on these anyways? I'd rather you just do well. So I said, just cost. And he's like, I don't have the money. And that's when Seth literally walked into the frame and was like, I'll vouch for you. I'll whatever. I'll handle it. You could pay me back. And I was like, I looked at Seth. I'm like, you sure? And he's like, yeah. So I make the T-shirts up. I bring them. I think I brought them. That was the show down in South Miami where you wrestled in that like little gazebo area thing. Was it Kendall or?
Oh wow!
I
I
think
forgot that was a cool venue.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
like a tennis court.
Just nobody promoted it, so no one showed up.
Yeah.
So I brought them to that show. I was like, listen, just like if you can get me the money in the next week or two, that would be great because, you said you would, and B, I'm not operating out of tremendous profits. I'm trying to get this business off the ground. So I'm doing you this favor, and I have laid out the money, and I'm kind of not flush with cash to keep the business running week to week. I was doing like a weekly T-shirt. It was a whole fucking thing on the internet. And he's like, yeah. And then like after 3 weeks of him dodging me and whatever, I had to like basically just kind of like shit talk him on the internet to get paid.
Yeah.
And listen, you vouch for someone, you vouch for someone. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I understand that. I think he was in between jobs at the time. But then why vouch for someone?
That's before he went to Patrick's.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
And so I think I don't know where the money came from.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe what's her face that he was with at the time ended up paying it so that the drama went away off the internet. Doesn't matter. I got paid. But he vouched. He didn't come through.
Yeah.
So and then we had the little thing on the internet where I made a vague post.
Yeah.
Didn't name names, didn't tag anyone. But he like owned it at that point. All of a sudden, instead of like all of a sudden not answering my phone or anything like that, my phone call, he's like, all right. He commented, all right, mystery, solved. It's me, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of excuses. But, you didn't have to call me out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking maybe I didn't, but it seemed to finally get desired results.
Yeah.
I finally got you to acknowledge the situation. Because I think he said 2 days once or twice and then incommunicado. So I got, at least we were communicado again. Got my money and I'm like, yeah. So then I wasn't using them for the shows.
Yeah.
Because there's a falling out. And then we had the issue where Bobby Rogers had ended up in Orlando and was living with Max Cap.
That's right.
And Bobby was trying to get down here to do it. But then he was also trying to weasel me to pay Max Cap to come down here and wrestle. And Max was being such a piece of shit, and he was like, kind of like being the petulant thing where he wanted to be asked to come. And I didn't want him in the first place. But if he was going to be Bobby's ride, I was like, well, maybe we'll find. It was like this whole thing. And I was like, you know what, Bobby? Come or don't come, but I don't care. And so I think he wasn't able to come down.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to use Max Cap anyways, because he's a 600-pound guy that was he shitting in a bag by that point?
I don't know.
Was he? Did he have the operation?
He was towards the end of his life.
Yeah.
That point was towards the end because once Seth came back on board is when our shows really hit their peak.
Right.
Not because of him, but it's just the timing. Everything was clicking at that moment. So yeah, that's around the time that Max was doing real bad.
He came to the show with Anthony.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, and we shook hands and water on the bridge. I don't think we had really talked since it had all gone down. We just hadn't crossed paths that much. And I was like, listen, do you want, he's like, if you need anything, I'm here anyways. Well, I go, okay, yeah. do you want to do the commentary? And he's like, okay. And then it was like, guys are.
Yeah.
It's like you just sit down, you shake hands, it's all gone.
Yeah.
And we just started, and he started doing shows for us again. Everything was cool. I never let him get in a situation where he owed me money again.
Yeah.
Until I started working for him.
Until years later.
But so after chasing him for money, I guess he finally got a job with this guy Patrick.
Yeah.
Who ended up getting you a job there.
That's correct. After that was the thing that came out of softball.
And
was that job?
It's funny because I just remember because Seth always oversells everything. Everything's got to be a story where he looks like the big shot.
Everything.
And everything's like getting paid 10 times what he really is.
Mm-hmm.
All that horse shit. And making money. But as soon as you're like, hey, is there an opportunity for me? Oh, well then it's,
Yeah.
I'm going to try. I don't do my best and blah, blah, blah.
But
apparently he recruited you.
Yeah.
Because you've done work in the trades.
I've been around.
You're a jack of many.
I'm a jack of many trades. So he hooked me up with Patrick. I got that job.
This was doing backflows.
Which I currently do.
Which is like, if anyone cares.
Yeah.
Long story short, it involves the flow of water back out of used water back out of a building, and making sure it doesn't flow back into the system once it's
passed through the meter. Yes,
right. So there's testing of these things, there's repair of these things, there's installation of these things. That's basically it.
Yeah, it's just a plumbing device.
Yeah,
and
but it's very specialized.
Yes,
it's like you don't have to know about plumbing, and the beautiful thing is, it's the right end of plumbing. Yeah. It's not the shit end of plumbing.
No, it is not.
It's the clean end of plumbing.
Although we've done the shit end of plumbing for some reason.
Yeah, we keep kept trying to rope us into that.
Oh my
miserable.
God.
Always
after that last experience, I told him no mas.
Yeah, it's a miserable.
No mas. And that's why we never did it again.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what do you think? And I'm like, I think I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
that's what I think. And it's weird because before we get too far off, Seth has done a lot for me, whether he intended to do so or not.
I think his intentions are always there. I just think that he kind of almost wants to talk bullshit into reality a lot of times.
Yeah.
So he'll promise the moon and then worry about it later.
Yeah. And it's hard to hate the man because he has done so much.
I don't hate him.
But at the same time, it's just like, no, and hate is way too strong of an emotion or a word. Yeah, you're right there because I'm
frustrated and angry still to this day.
You know what? That feels about right.
Yeah.
A lot more for me. For me, it's a lot more frustration than anger.
Because in the grand scheme of things, he came from the wrestling world.
Yeah,
we knew him well from the wrestling world.
Uh-huh.
He had established himself in the wrestling world as being basically the John Lovitz of that character from Saturday Night Live, the liar. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah,
and then I put on an astronaut suit and fucked her in the ass. That's the ticket. Just always when he told you something, you knew, after a few months of being around him, that at least 50% of it's flourish.
Yeah,
just if not outright fucking horseshit.
Yeah.
Minimum.
And the longer you hang out with him and you're around him, the easier it is to spot when it's about to happen because he has a rotation of the different kinds of lies and embellishments that he makes and how he makes them. And he only has 4 or 5 stories that he just recycles through. So you start to put together when something's about to happen. You're like, oh, here we go.
The beautiful thing is he's good at it.
Yeah.
Until you're around it for a while, to be able to sniff it out, and
you're looking for it,
right, or expecting it,
yes,
or knowing that,
it's
you're checking your watch. Oh, it's been 5
when
minutes.
you get to the point
we're due for another.
Yeah, when you get to the point where you can almost set your watch to it.
Yeah,
it's a really difficult situation because he can't be called out.
He
gets way too defensive.
That's true. But also, like, he's good at crafting a story where it's hard to, like, nail him down on details and stuff like that. It's like if you weren't there to say that didn't happen that way, you almost have to just smile and take him at value, knowing that it didn't, but no way to prove it or call him out on it. Because as soon as you call him out on it, it's like, well, what proof do you have? It becomes how it's like the religious argument. Well, can you prove he doesn't exist?
In a lot of ways, you really can't. Like the whole Disney thing. That's what was just so frustrating about the Disney thing was there was no way to prove that he wasn't having these conversations. And even now, knowing what I know, it's just like maybe it was possible. I don't know,
because when we're kind of jumping around, but when we were all working together for him under the second place that you ended up working with him for, the Florida Backflow Services, there would be days where we would all sit in there because it was kind of like the beginning of like I always equated to like if you ever saw Hill Street Blues, the old
I know
it's an old cop show. That in the morning you have the morning meeting.
Yeah.
And the sergeant talks to everyone, gives everyone their plan for the day, and then says, go be safe out there.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that, where we would sit in the office, we'd all sit there and talk to him.
Yeah.
He'd give us a rundown of what we were doing, but also spend 10 minutes talking about either lying about something upcoming or how we're going to be making money in the future, but not right now, doing this, that, or the other thing, or it would be a story about how some girl tried to fuck him yesterday.
That's right. Yeah.
Or
at the gym.
Or, and so then we would all go outside and we would huddle for a minute. And we were all four of us would just have a great chuckle at what we had just heard in there.
Yeah.
And how we knew, like, other than the straight provables, that everything else was immediately cast in doubt. And we would laugh about it. And, oh, look. 3 girls tried to fuck him yesterday, and then listen, come on.
Yeah. And
it was so funny, like on a daily basis.
It really was.
It would be like, or he'd tell wrestling stories, and it's like,
or he would just fall asleep.
Well, there's that too. Mid-sentence while talking to us, he's a doze off.
So he helped me get the job with Patrick. I was there for a year before I moved on to do the handyman stuff I did for like a year or two before I went to fucking Ocala. Anyway, so and I remember I invited him to the wedding. He couldn't come to the wedding, but here's a funny story. He's like, yeah, but I got a big check waiting for you here. I'm like, oh, okay, Seth. All right, cool. Like it's the day of my wedding, so I'll pick it up at some point, not now. And never heard from him. Didn't hear from him again. I don't think
you had stopped working there by then, right?
Yes. I invited Patrick and Joanne because they were very kind.
Your boss.
They were my boss. And this is after, because I had already been doing my handyman thing. I just invited them because they were good people. They treated me well, and they gave quite the donation.
Yeah.
So
you're not completely stupid. You're still a worker.
Yeah. But I did genuinely like love having them there, you know? So with Seth and I didn't talk again, I think, until he realized when I was back from Ocala. And then he was like, hey, so you're back from Ocala? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm back. And I hadn't heard from him since the wedding. That was 2 years ago, whatever it was. And he's just like, you want a job? And I was working for Chewy, because when I came back down, I was working at the Chewy call center. And I'm like, doing what? He goes, backflows. And I'm like, Seth, I'm not going back to Patrick's. He goes, no, Patrick and I had a falling out. I'm at this new company. I'm running it. And I've already got Zach over here, and Zach and me were the two techs when I did work at Patrick's, and Zach and I were pretty good friends. I heard from him a few times over the years, so we kept in touch. So I was like, oh, cool, Zach. I'm like, I don't really want to do trade work anymore, because I just come back from Ocala, and after that fucking fiasco doing the being an electrical supervisor for the fucking crackhead, I was like, I don't I'm burned out from trades, man. I like answering phone calls from old women. Just want to talk about cats for 30 minutes.
You had like as much of a low end kind of like entry level job. It sort of is working at Chewy at the call center. You're like getting health insurance.
Yeah, I mean,
things that for the first time were like.
And I didn't have to beat my body up in any way. I just had to sit in a chair,
right,
and just listen to old women talk about cats.
Although I'm curious how much of your Jimmy Connors personality. There were no frustrations like that?
Here was the thing. Here was the big joke that I found out was because at one time, like early on, because Natalia had already been working there for like 2 years, and she'd been working her way up the list. She got her first promotion as I moved in. She became a lead on the floor. So everyone knew me through her, but they knew me as this professional wrestler. And
the tales of
yes,
she was bringing in like plaster castings of your foot like a fucking Sasquatch.
Natalia, she had the picture. She had one of my worker pictures on her desk. So everyone had this idea of me, and I come in, and a lot of people don't know I have like 2 different personas. 3 actually. I have me. We've got the Prime persona that always gets me in trouble.
Sean Prime's a wrestler,
and then there's the customer service voice that I have.
Oh my God, you've got to.
Nobody understands it.
I didn't really know about it till I started riding in a truck with you, and you would talk to people. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? He's like pleasant, polite, like just like I'm like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Where? What? You know, I'm just like
nobody. It surprises everybody when it happens.
Yeah.
So like I remember after my first day, Natalia comes up to me once I'm on the floor. After I'm on the floor, because my first day.
Did everyone just expect you to start body slamming people?
I don't know, but my first day was Black Friday. That was my first day on the floor.
Really thrown in the deep end there.
The deepest. One of the managers had come over to me at some point, and she's like, hey, you're new on the floor, right? Yeah, you're Natalia's husband. Yeah. Have you cried yet? I'm like, what? She's like, have you cried yet? I'm like, is that a requirement? Like, do I need to cry? And she goes, well, it's Black Friday. Like, this is our worst day. And they had a room for you if it was too much, if you were overflowed with it, you go in a room and you could just like cry and let your emotions out.
But it wasn't that like. But it was just work. It was just like an overload of work.
Oh, yeah,
it wasn't like people were extra abusive or anything.
No. It was just people were calling all the time.
So
you hung up with one was calling. You didn't get a break until.
So what you're saying is all these soft motherfuckers born after the year 2000.
Yes.
Can't work a full 8 hours.
Yes, there's a lot of soft shell turtles.
Like
at Chewy.
I swear, like I can stay on my feet all fucking day. When I used to work, like even a retail job, like the comic shop, it was like breaks.
Yeah.
Just like keep working.
Yeah.
It like taking a break acknowledges that it's too much for you and that you need a break. And it like kind of like it makes you aware of the clock almost.
Yeah.
It's like if you just work, put your head down and work, all of a sudden it's time to go.
That's correct.
You know, putting breaks in almost like
takes you out of
the flow. So like the only breaks really for me, other people took breaks, fuck off breaks or whatever, but was like to eat.
Yeah.
You know. And because I was working for Broder, we ate. Oh, we ate.
No, so it's great after my first day and they're like, wow, we're just really impressed that you kept your composure. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, that wasn't a bad day.
But it's funny. It's like, were they just expecting you to snap because it was Black Friday? Or had she, my boyfriend, the pro wrestler?
At that time, I was her husband, the pro wrestler.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
You understand.
But yeah, no.
Everyone had created this character.
Yeah, everybody was so shocked. And like later on that night, Natalia's like, it's like my friend, they were all shocked because they all watched my matches, seen my promos. Like, they'd met me a few times. I'd met them throughout the course of the last year or two, but I was working elsewhere whenever they were doing things. So they knew who I was. They've met me before, but then the person they saw on the floor answering and taking care of phone calls was just not the same person.
They were all expecting to rent
Yeah,
time.
right, they were-
rent time in the cry room
Yeah.
after dealing with you, and it didn't happen.
So I didn't want to leave. I actually liked it because it was cool. It was just a regular office job, but my body wasn't being hurt, and
Well, your body wasn't being hurt, but all like trade work isn't about like your body being hurt. It's just about working. Like it's hard.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Like
And the worst part for me was I was tired of putting good work in for stupid fucking people that I was like, I'm done with it, man. I'm done with dealing with listen. Trade work's great work. If you can't be a 4-year college graduate and do that nonsense, grab a fucking trade, get good at it, and you'd make almost more money, if you're smart. So there's nothing wrong with trade work whatsoever. However, because you can get in so easily just mopping a floor or sweeping floor or
just learn on the
yeah,
job.
yeah. It invites the worst of society who are capable of very little else.
Yeah.
And sometimes those people luck into positions of power they should never have gotten on their own. And it makes life terrible for everyone, included. So it's like, I loved, like, my favorite was when I was out and doing electrical work when I was running conduit. Because I was really good at it. I enjoyed it. And they were paying me well to do it. The only trade-off was I was gone. I was gone for 7 months someplace.
Ironically, you end up doing trade work run by a carny from the wrestling business.
Yes.
So it's like the worst of both worlds.
It really was. So I didn't want to do it, and I told him no. I
remember you would get on our thread and be like,
I can't do that again.
You're like, I can't work for Seth again.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, he's promising me the moon.
Yeah. And
yada,
he
yada.
did. He's like, well, how much is it going to take? And I'm like, Seth, this really isn't a money issue. Because I wasn't making shit at Chewy. Let's be very clear.
But it was like I mean,
it was a breath of fresh air.
Peace of mind.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing, where you're like, I listen.
Yeah.
I don't make that much, but I know this is what I have to do every day. It doesn't change. Nobody's lying to me, and and it's easy. It's probably relaxing
for a lot. Yeah,
it's probably compared to like having to go, especially trade work, where every day is a different place and a whole new set of whatever, and you're working with a whole new set of different people. Sometimes, I mean, depending what you're doing, and it's just like navigating those fucking minefields on a daily basis.
And I worked it real well because I waited until the old 80-year-old woman in the cabin who just wants to talk about her cats came on. We talked for an hour. and finally, like, my lead had to come over and tap on my shoulder. And she goes, you got to move on. And I'm like, there's the Iggy for home. Okay.
Take it home.
Yep. And I would do that all the time. If you wanted just someone to talk to on the phone, well, you came to the right person. We had a great conversation, and sometimes I'd sell him something, sometimes I wouldn't. It depended on where the conversation went, but it was just a way to, like, you have a 40-minute conversation with someone about their dog from 30 years ago, then fuck it, man. That leads you in a break in 15 minutes. You might only have to take 2 phone calls after that. I worked it.
Did they force you to take breaks there?
You had you had
those weird, like,
designated
15-minute breaks.
Yeah, 2 15-minute breaks and 1 30-minute lunch.
Is there like there's like a bell that rings in the place?
No.
I guess you couldn't all go on break at once.
Exactly, because it's
we had, when I worked at Rosenbaum Fine Arts, which is a place in Boca.
Ooh.
They had They had 2 locations. They had somewhere else, but I didn't work there. And this was the bigger, newer place. And it was a giant showroom, and they sold art. And they had a frame shop, so they did all their own framing, and they had all these in-house artists.
Yeah.
They had a studio in Phoenix where most of the artists worked. But when they opened this place up, they tried to, like, satellite artists here, so they tried to find a couple people do stuff. And I got brought in. I met the guy, Scott, who was like starting the art department, but then he was going to go back to work. He lived in Phoenix and was running the Phoenix House of Artists. And I got brought up to do. I was welcome to eventually try and do my own pieces, but I was brought in. Literally, he showed me how to do his pieces of artwork, assembly line style.
Yeah.
Where you would just lay 8 big sheets of paper out on these long bench table things and go into they had a huge art closet with all the different supplies and shit. And he was like, this is how you make this piece. And it was step by step. And I could churn out like 15 pieces in a day or two. And it was just like, okay, now I take the blue, mix it up, and every single one. Boop, 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 boop. And I learned how to sign his name. And I would get like X amount an hour plus commission on every piece.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, every now and then it would be like some cocksucker would be like, oh, you know, it was a one-off. And I'd be like, can you just add some of this color so it matches my couch?
Oh.
but they specialized in selling kind of like all that fucking like, it's real art. It's handmade. It's not like a prints, but it was art that you see in like cruise ships or hotels or whatever. So they do these bulk orders. Be like, well, we'll take 20 of this and 10 of this. And it was real art, and they made so much money with the framing end of it too.
Yeah, well, framing is expensive.
But I mean, they were selling these pieces for thousands of dollars each. Some of them hundreds or whatever. And they were paying me like $15 an hour plus a commission, you know. And the commissions were fat. I was making some good money there.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I ended up throwing that job away because I was doing the wrestling autograph trips at the time. So I would go on the weekends or I'd go on a 5-day trip. I'd kind of like get the time off, but sometimes be a day late and blah, blah, blah. And then finally, you'll like this story, was they would be like, yeah, the pay's okay. But, man, do they really take care of you on the Christmas bonuses?
Yeah.
I started in January. I started like the first week of January.
Yeah.
So I put a full fucking year in.
Yeah.
When bonus came around, this other guy had come and taken over, Kurt. He's a great guy, Mormon.
Yeah.
15 kids or something like that or whatever.
Holy shit.
But a cool dude.
Yeah.
I never got a Christmas bonus. I never got a holiday check.
Oof.
And then I kind of was like, you know, I was like, dude, what's going on? He's like, oh, they're working on it. They're working on it. Like, fucking, I wouldn't bug them every day about it.
Yeah.
But after like 3 months or 5 months, I was like, well, I don't know what's going on, but it's not happening. And I'm like, and this was like the, you know, again, but the Christmas bonuses.
Yeah.
So eventually I just kind of like, I stopped going in. I was like, I quit. I'm just going to like sell my wrestling autographs on eBay and pay my bills that way. And that worked for 4 fucking years.
Yeah.
Selling comics and because eBay was new back then. So eventually Kurt called me. He's like, hey man, I assume you quit. But we need you to send a letter in because, you know, basically they wanted it in writing. So if I wanted to start collecting unemployment, they'd be like, no, he quit. He stopped coming in. So my thing was that, you know, I decided this is not the career path for me right now, blah, blah, blah. And I'm also a little irritated I never got my Christmas bonus. But the whole long part of that story was that it was like this giant warehouse that they had built for themselves right on the tracks on Yamato.
Yeah.
By almost at US 1.
Mm-hmm.
So you know where it is. It was like a majority of the space was the framing department.
Yeah.
Like they was just like they had like 30 people working framing stuff all the time in there.
So they just build their own stuff.
It was so everything was like they were making such a markup because they're getting everything it cost, and so I was learning a little word a day of Spanish from this lady and blah blah blah. I got friendly with all these people, and there was a small area where the artists were working. Like I'd say like maybe 1/6 of the shop.
Yeah.
Was that. But they had the thing where you punched in the time card, and literally when the bell rang, everyone fucked off for
Yeah.
15 minutes. The bell rang, everyone started back.
That was the construction.
30 minutes for lunch.
That was when I would do big job sites. The big horn would
They had a
go
horn?
off. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Which you could hear pretty much wherever you were on.
Yeah, it was a meandering story. Just talk about how
Yeah.
I that was the only one and only job where it was like everyone fucked off for 15 minutes.
Oh yeah. The construction was great because I was on the fuck off crew, so we like used the break as like excuses to get a 15-minute nap where we were already laying down and just chilling on our phones. That was great. But yeah, no, I never wanted to take the job from Seth. But then he's like, look, I'll pay you $800 for the first month, and then I'll start getting you $1,000, cash.
Yeah.
Under the table. And I was like, well, I don't want to do it under the table because I'm a little older now and taxes mean a thing or two. But I was like, on the books.
I'll tell you, man. Taxes don't mean as much as you think they would.
Well,
sometimes.
Well, there's
if
a
you
whole...
can't prove you're getting paid, you can claim you've been unemployed.
But the whole thing was, it's all in the up and up. You get health insurance, the whole 9 yards.
Especially since that last year we all worked there.
Yeah.
I don't think they paid any. There's no paperwork.
No.
I don't think. Like, I'm filing.
I know there's none.
Listen.
I know there's none. I know how that. I mean, I'll tell you off air how it worked because
Okay.
I now know how it worked, and
Off the air.
I don't want to.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe we don't want to get anyone thrown in
Yeah,
jail,
exactly.
including ourselves.
Exactly. Like that's the big thing after all this is like I now know how all this stuff happened and why it happened.
You pulled the curtain back.
Yeah. We all waited to see when it was going to get pulled back, and I just ended up being I won the bingo. But I told him I was like, listen, I'm going to keep because remember initially I had 2 jobs. I told him like, look, I'll do this, but I need to be off by set time so that I can go to my second job. And I'm like, I'm not quitting this job for what might amount to a few months worth of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's vaporware until you.
Yeah, it's like you prove to me that this is a thing, and I'll give you my full attention, kind of thing. And for the first 2 or 3 months,
Yeah, you ran yourself ragged working 2 jobs.
yeah. But he kept his word. Every time he would say something, it would materialize.
That's odd.
Because that was my thing. My thing was like, I don't know if I trust this guy. And I know how many times I'd expressed that on the thread and just how I felt about him after some stuff. So I was like, let's see if I can trust him. And for the first month or so, man, it was good as gold. They fired the other guy that I ended up replacing. We oh my God, we spent a month and a half bombing his vehicle just so we could get the roaches out because he was a fat slob who would leave like donuts and pizza and Chinese food. He would just like shove it in corners for days.
I like this guy's style.
He could barely get in and out of that fucking mattress. It is why me and Zach would joke about you're gonna get a new seat anytime because the day he left, Seth was like, "I'm gonna get you a new seat for that mattress."
Right.
He went out of. I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm like, "All right, cool." He brought it up 3 or 4 times after that, then never again.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get this, I'm gonna get that.
Yeah.
Tires.
We're still waiting on tires.
Tires for the fucking
Yeah.
trucks.
All kinds of shit would come and be said. But anyway, he didn't start to break his word with me in any capacity until after you were hired.
It's amazing.
And then once you were hired,
Which is kind of like, which I mean makes a little bit of sense because if he started breaking his word with you, I don't know if you would have. You might have been like, Ben, I don't know.
yeah,
I
I would
don't know.
never have spoken.
I don't know if you want to like do this or not.
And
I just needed a job.
yeah, and then
because I was working in West Palm Beach.
yeah,
And it was like,
those long train rides.
I mean, from here to West, from where it was the last stop on the Tri-Rail.
Yeah.
Like, just think about it. Like, you couldn't go any further north. It was like an hour and 15-minute train ride.
Yeah.
So I'm getting up at like 5:30 in the morning
Oof.
and getting home sometimes at like, God forbid, you just missed a train.
Yeah.
And it's late and the next train's like coming for 45 minutes.
Oh.
And then it's an hour fucking down, and then an Uber ride home or something. I mean, dude, not only was I not making a ton of money because the transportation.
You had no time.
But then I'm like working technically a 12-hour day and getting
Yeah.
paid for 8.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. So.
But I loved loved the guy I worked
Oh,
for,
yeah.
which is why I did it so long. Because I was like, this is comfortable. You get that comfortable thing.
Yeah.
I actually like coming to work, even with all that. The pandemic was looming. And so I knew that, like, that train ride was going to suck. And, you know, it was going to get a little... And plus, I was getting worn out on that traveling stuff.
So
yeah.
when she brought you over, man, that's when all the fuckery started. That's when all the
So it's my fault, is what you're saying.
I don't know. I just think that at some point, that Seth started overselling everything, and it
to us, not actually in the business.
It started small. It started honestly, and it really didn't start to get bad until Zach came back, because Zach was out.
Well, with the pandemic.
For the pandemic for a few months.
He had a nervous family that didn't want him working.
Yes, and that's why the same nervousness is why he's not working with me right now. Whatever, though. And then when Zach came back, man, it just became one thing after another. One thing after another. It would just be things just never materialized like he thought they would. Jobs wouldn't come through. He would I don't think he woke up until 2 p.m. some days, even though he was physically at the office.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was like what, a 2-month period, 3-month period.
There was a stretch there where he would come in, and certain days he was all right, and other days he was literally slurring his words. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Nodding out like a heroin addict mid sentence while he's talking to us, and we're all just looking at each other. I mean, like, dude. Yeah. I mean, come on. Like, I'm not going to film that sometimes to send to us and, like, laugh about it and be like, what the fuck? Yeah. I mean, obviously, he was taking gimmicks. I don't even care. I don't know if that's slander, libel, whichever one it is. I'm like, this is not being tied.
Because of J. Jonah Jameson, I know that it's slander and print is liable.
Slander speak, the SS.
Yes.
But like, listen, I mean, he showed up one day with a fucking busted tooth. And I don't remember what the story was, but are you going to tell me that I'm not going to watch you come in here and incoherently talk to us? The meeting takes an extra 10 minutes because when you're not lying about something or telling a fucking wrestling story or whatever else, you're literally falling asleep in front of us, that you didn't, like, take a tumble in that condition and crack your tooth off. Yeah. And then he never got it fixed.
I honestly can't remember if it's
no, because when we met him,
that's right, it wasn't.
He still had that fucked up tooth. It's like, dude, don't you have? Aren't you running on insurance and all this stuff? It's like,
well, buddy, was he? Fucking.
It's like
seeing all our old payrolls and everything. That guy was running on everything.
Constantly with the like. Hey, you know, we're going to start doing this, and we're going to start making commissions on it. Not right now, but we're going to make a ton of money off of this down the road, and we're going to start being fire guys doing the sprinklers, and nothing ever
materialized.
He was getting us just to get us our backflow licenses.
That was a fucking underground fucking operation.
It was like, we'll go get them. We'll go get them. Oh, no, I'll pick them up. For weeks, it's that.
I had to insist. I had to, like, Seth, I'm going to get him.
Right.
So
my pay situation where he promised, he said to me when we hired, you're making this now. Yeah. You'll make this after 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months, when 3 months came, it became 90 days, which is fine. I understand. Yeah. 90 days, when it was coming up, I go, hey, 90 days is coming up. Yeah. And immediately was, oh, yeah, Rebecca already reminded me about that. Yeah. So we're all on top of that. 3 weeks later, it's like I'm asking for the first fucking time. And then she calls me as like good cop. And I tell her the story. And she's laughing and goes into a 5-minute tirade about how we all know what a big fucking liar he is. And she calls him a liar all the time to his face and has to call him out on shit. So apparently she had never, like, given him the heads up that it was called, you know, the whole thing. And then he calls me again, and I have to explain to him why an extra $200 a week when you're making nothing.
Yeah.
When it becomes
night and day.
When it becomes like I don't even remember. I'm like, dude, $200 is nothing except when it's a 40% increase in what you're making now. And he's like, oh, I never thought of it that way. It's like, yeah. I understand paying my dues and eating shit.
Yeah.
And not coming into a trade that I know nothing about and have no skills in.
Yeah.
And you're teaching me on the job. I get the eat shit pay. But when you promise something, you know, and then when 90 days and I can prove I can do everything and et cetera, you know, I mean, you know.
And that's the thing. It's like he would say things, and a lot of things were way too outrageous for us to ever really come back around on, but stuff like that. And it was always a fight. Always a fight. And then in December, just out of the blue one day, it was all over.
We get a text, a group text.
Yep.
It says, no work tomorrow.
Nope.
Just a speed bump. Don't worry.
Yep. And then one day turned into two, and then two turned into I'll let you know, and I'll let you know turned into him just talking to me, refusing to talk to anybody else, getting mad at you for even insinuating that maybe we should be kept in the loop.
After like a week and a half, I was like, hey, can you just like touch base with us a little more regularly on this?
Yeah.
We're all out of jobs right now.
Yeah.
It's hot. It's the week before Christmas that you did this.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, when you call him out on something, immediately defensive, puts on the
victim act.
goes on the victim, goes on the offense.
Yeah.
Yelled at me for wanting to know something when there was nothing to say. I have no new news. I was like, well, then just at least so that people that feel like they know nothing, they don't know if we're ever going to hear from you again. Should I start looking for a job?
Yeah.
Is this because the last time you told us it was just a speed bump?
Yep.
It's like, well, if it's just a speed bump, then I should just keep waiting for my regular job that was solid and I had for like fucking 10 months or whatever. It's like, you know, I've why go start over if this is going to continue in another week?
Yep.
I'll hold off a week or two. And it's like the holidays. You're like, well, if you were like good people, maybe you'd be like, hey, we're sorry you lost all these wages. Or even if we're closing the whole thing up, here's a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You know, because we threw the rug out from under you and what? No, none of that.
Well, because none of that's what actually happened.
None of that. But he you know, I mean, yelled at me in text.
Yeah.
Like, why should I have, blah, blah, blah. And then when we met like 3 weeks later, where he sort of offered us all a job.
Yeah.
But then really only offered you a job.
Yeah.
That, as soon as I said, everything's cool, but, like I said, I only took exception to you not staying. And immediately started yelling at me again. And I'm like, you saw me at that thing.
It was crazy because we're all just sitting there and you just asked him a polite question. Like, really? Like, Ben was just like, hey, man, like, everything's good. Just, can we just get past this one thing? I just don't want this looming past us, And, and he went fucking bonkers over it. And it was just like one of those things where it's just, and here's the thing, man, like, we were all done with him. All of us were done.
We just went to go. He asked us to go meet him 3 weeks after this firing, where then there was no communication.
Yeah. And
we didn't know we were fired until, we met him at the restaurant and he said, yeah, that's no longer a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the things I'm working on.
Yeah.
And then, but I was like so angry at that point from basically he'd kept talking to.
Yeah, because I was the only person that he would call and talk to.
I think you were the bait to get another job.
Yes.
It was like, I'm coming with a fully skilled guy.
He knew, because he knew at that point that Zach didn't want anything to fucking do with him.
Yeah. And
he needed somebody to make all his words seem like they weren't 100% bullshit.
Right.
So, and you and Jeff, you guys are still new to this thing.
And so what was I forget, what was even the reason he gave for why originally we weren't working? Like that original stage of, hey, no work tomorrow. And then the next day, work tomorrow. It was just a speed bump,
Was it a qualifier thing? Was it an insurance thing? I feel as if it was.
It wasn't, or was it the lawsuit?
It was the lawsuit. It was the lawsuit. Okay. That's right. That's right. It was the lawsuit. Fucking Christ, man. It's funny. It hasn't even been that long, but so much has happened. Yeah. And really, I found out
Seth had been sued, and so had Zach by your old employer.
Twice.
for basically no compete stuff.
Yes.
I don't know what Seth's was. I think it was sued for stealing his business.
Yes, basically.
Stealing his customer base.
And knowing what I know now, I mean, this the biggest piece of shit.
Yeah.
The biggest piece of shit. But
So
I had found out, was it a week or two? 2 weeks. 2 weeks before we went under, I'd found out that Natalia was pregnant. And we were real hesitant to say anything to anybody, but I think I mentioned it to you and a few people, and that's what it was, because at that time I was waiting for my next logical raise. Mm-hmm. It had been a year, and I'd had the agreement on my pay, and then I had the one real raise, and it's 6 months later, and I was just like, all right, motherfucker, like it's time to pony up now, like because I am worth what I'm worth, and that's that.
Right.
So,
plus you had other people going, "Come work for me. Come work for me."
Yeah. So he
not in backflows, but
no, and found out the baby. So I'm like, okay, well, this is the best time. And so I'm like, hey Seth, listen, it's time. And look, man, I got a kid on the way. So now the money matters. Mm-hmm. And this conversation, seeing what you went through, seeing what Zach had
to get ahead of it,
what Zach had to go through to be on the books,
right?
Yeah, I wasn't happy. I was not going to do that. Like we were going to handle
That's a red flag. The tremendous resistance to put him on the books.
It took almost 3 months.
Yeah,
something like that.
Crazy.
Like it got to the point where Zach was going to quit.
Yeah.
Because of it. Like, that's the thing. Everything we're talking about.
The problem Zach had was he had no leverage because he took so much time off during the pandemic. Or whatever you want to call it. COVID.
Here's the real thing. It's just like, anything with Seth was, it took coming down to the last minute and you about to explode in some capacity, and then all of a sudden it happened.
Right.
It always was the 11th hour. So I wasn't going to do that shit.
And it was more the 13th hour.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you.
Yeah. And then... or
the 25th. Whatever would be like over the clock. Yeah.
So then Florida Backflow went under. And it was a matter of where we were going next. And he would call me all the fucking time with all this. Oh, here, this guy's offering me this and this and this and this. Or this guy's over this and this one company's offering me $300,000 a year salary to work for them, but I don't want to not leave you guys in the cold. And I remember telling him Seth, if you turn down a $300,000 a year salary, I could get a fucking job.
I don't believe this leave you out in the cold bullshit. Because he left us out in the cold.
Yes, 100%.
For 3 weeks, not telling anyone what's
going
on.
But he's got to babyface you when he's on the phone with you.
Not showing you any respect. This is why, here's the thing. He dangled this Disney job, which was going to be we were going to have the contract, do all the backflows for Disney.
Yeah.
And their properties and whatever. And the reason I now think it was mostly bullshit, or that after he talked to the guy the first 2 or 3 times, that it evaporated and then he just lied to us over and over again, was because it was going to pay so much and be so lucrative and change everybody's lives in a massive way, that why wouldn't that been your full-time job to just get that landed? And instead he would be like, yeah, I haven't heard from him. And it's a week would go by. I was like, yeah, it's the holidays. Well, it's no. Trade work and stuff like that. That's that. Even for Disney, even on the holidays, I don't buy it. And then it would be especially once our job situation all fell apart, because we were working for this parent company. This whole Florida Backflow thing with Seth was they'd created a sub thing there. Why wouldn't you just concentrate on nailing that? Instead of trying to land a job with another plumbing company and do it, was if that did, and then that's why I don't believe.
Well, the whole thing was we needed a qualifier. We didn't have a qualifier. A qualifier with certified many years of experience and all this stuff, because without it he couldn't get the Disney thing. That was the whole thing that he told us. Now I know the reality of all this.
Let's get into that, because I think this is a little bit in the weeds and boring.
Because the reality,
other than the fact that we could tell stories almost on a daily basis. Remember for a week, I was writing down.
That's right.
In a pad, I was writing down every case of bullshit.
We filled out the pad.
Every lie, every confirmable lie or bumbledick fuck up like this, how inefficient the this was being run.
Yeah.
And how like, oh, this person hadn't been called. He said this was actually this. After a week, I had filled up 5 pages in a notebook.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't. I'm
it
writing.
Was funny.
I was spending like too much time writing down
as they were coming in, which
the lies and the fuck ups and the bullshit. It was crazy.
It was crazy, and it all boils down to he held his Disney thing over my head, knowing I had a kid on the way.
Because the payday, he offered to me.
Yeah.
What was it, $1,500 a week?
He offered mid 6 figures to me.
Yeah, but I'm saying like low level fucking.
Yeah.
Been here 10 months.
Yeah.
Only been in the trade 10 months.
Yeah.
He's like, it was more than double what I was making.
And then told me.
And then I think forgot about it and quoted a different number to you, and you had to correct him.
I corrected him, but then he told me later his news story was like, well, that was just an example of how much he could be making over time. And I'm like, Seth, that wasn't the conversation you had with Ben. The conversation you had with Ben is, this is what happens when we go up there. This is the number you are making. You couldn't have been more emphatic in your statement.
No, he swore on his own fucking like paycheck or something.
Yep,
like
something like that.
I forget what it was.
And
he swore on something.
Yeah, the last 3 lies out the door. The last 3 lies he told me out the door. The last day I saw him, where his father, his sperm donor that he's seen twice in his whole life and hates, or that's what we've been told.
Was trying to reconnect with him or something?
Is like in the later stages of his life, wants to reconcile and wanted to write him like a $200,000 check or like a $2,500,000 check, whatever the fuck it was, a big number. And he was going to use that money to do all the stuff for Disney and all this, or get another plumbing company. He was going to buy a plumbing company. Yeah, he was going to buy a plumbing company because 2 were for sale. That kind of shit. There was the government's giving everybody $15,000 free money. You just have to fill out a form. That he knew a guy. You just filled out a form and they just cut you a check right then and there. And I was just like, what?
Right.
Like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm going to get you all the information. We're all going to get rich off this. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And Miami Seaquarium. We were going to get Miami Seaquarium. We were going to get all the parent companies of Miami Seaquarium, which included a lot of the stuff. The same company that runs them runs a bunch of stuff in like Orlando. Now, I'm not going to get into all the lies, but the funniest one's the Miami Seaquarium one when I found out what was actually going on. What actually went on is he filled out a newsletter. He got the numbers.
What do you mean filled out a newsletter?
There was like they do like a weekly newsletter. Miami Aquarium does a newsletter. So he filled out the form for the newsletter to get the contact information. He contacted the people like 3 or 4 times. I think he got someone on the phone once, but that was it. Like on the phone, I mean, oh yeah, I'll take that information. Yeah, we'll call you right back. Ha 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 ha.
So he's like, that might even be what Disney was like, where it's like.
Well, I know the story behind Disney too.
Well, I can't wait to hear that one. But it's like he thinks all I need to do is talk to someone, and then I'll do my worker wrestling stuff.
Yeah, he just gets in the
door.
door.
I could talk someone into something.
He legitimately believes that he just gets his foot in the door.
And then, but he's telling everyone it's a done deal before he's even like gotten a phone number.
Me and Natalia were supposed to go down on SeaWorld's dime, tour the facility with all the backflows, and then enjoy the park with food vouchers and just have a great day. Right. That was the week after the last day I talked to him. I knew it was going to happen when he told me. Of course I knew it was going to happen when he told me. I think I just told the wife, I'm like, this is what Seth said. She's starting excited. I'm like, calm your shit. The only way we're going to Miami Seaquarium is on our own dime, baby.
I remember telling the 4 of us, maybe several times that we would like do those like things where like either after leaving the office to head out on our day where we would just collectively talk for a minute or two and laugh about all the lies.
Yeah.
Or when we were at the end of the day trying to kill time before we came out because we got all our work done, but we couldn't just, the work's done.
Yeah.
It takes as long as it takes, but no, we couldn't have the trucks back till 3.
Oh, yeah, some dumb
so that we would park at a
nonsense.
park and talk to each other.
Yeah.
Park next to each other and just talk through the windows.
Yeah.
That I said many times. we've created a monster because we've never challenged him on anything. All we do is go out and chuckle about it, which is entertaining as shit, and we at least get something out of this where it's a laugh. But we've created a monster where he thinks he's always bullshitting us.
Yeah.
When he's never bullshitting us.
Not once.
We've always sniffed it on anything.
It's your fault, though. It's your fault the Disney thing lasted as long as it did.
Well, we couldn't challenge him on it because again, it's
you kept rationalizing. He goes, no, this makes sense, and I'm like, but I don't want it to make sense.
No, because a lot you'd be like, well, how would he know this, or why would he say that unless he's talking to someone?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that he would have this kind of information unless he's talking to someone.
Yeah.
So maybe he was talking to someone, but I don't think it ever got past.
It never did.
More past the hello, how are you?
Yeah. Long story short, it was all Fugazi bullshit.
So explain that. Explain what was going on back there.
The same thing that was happening in my FC Curry was happening at Disney. He was trying to get his foot in the door. Now, he may have talked to somebody. That I do not know. Nobody knows. He may have actually talked to somebody. That may actually be true. But I know that the company that does all the backflows for Disney is the same company that Patrick's son used to work for. So, like, and they still do all the backflows at Disney. Like, that is a thing that is happening.
Right.
And I had gone to Disney, and I had seen a bunch of tags on backflows that were way out of date, thinking, oh, and that was the thing. It was just like, well, they are out of date. I'm like, fuck, maybe Seth's right. Every time, every along the way, I tried to poke holes in this bullshit fucking story, and we couldn't do it. And even then, I was like, "Fuck!" I was so upset. I was so mad when I found the tags and they were out of date. I was like, "Fuck!" Like he still got me.
You wanted to be like check last week, so you knew someone still had a contract.
Yes,
and yes.
Oh my god, it would have been so great because I'd have quit the next day.
It would have been easier to tell him to go fuck himself.
Exactly.
But dangling something that was a life-changing job,
knowing how much of a Disney file I am.
Well, that aside, for me, it was like,
oh yeah,
I'm not gonna get hired anywhere else for this money.
Yeah,
my foot's already in the door. Let's just ride this out.
And it's easy work. Which is outdoor work.
It is easy, yeah. Except when it's not.
And that's when you make the money.
Right.
That's those moments would justify your paycheck.
Right. But easy or not, it was still the good end of the plumbing side. You never got dirty that way.
And it's frustrating because in a lot of ways, he did a lot. He did a lot for me. He kept us paid.
Well, that was the thing I always gave him credit for. It was like, listen, he hired me right at the beginning of this thing, and like, listen, we're shitting on the guy, and he deserves it. But I'll also give him credit where credit's due. He hired me when he didn't need me. He kept us employed full time when there wasn't work.
Yep.
And for that, I acknowledge it, and I've said many times that that's why it was always hard for me to push too hard on things, because I was the newest of the new guys. So who am I? You've been here 3 months. What do you shut up and keep your head down. But also it was hard to argue that he wasn't looking out for me at the beginning. I think just all of his he just get caught up in all this lying and this bullshitting and over-promising and under-delivering.
I do think that he in some weird Seth way, he has the best intentions a lot of these times.
Because it's like what I mean, like, I'm telling these guys all these things.
Yeah.
And in his head, it's like, I'll make good on them.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't happen. And then I think he just
It's why it's hard to hate the guy.
Yeah, I felt like it's like, well, he kind of did the whole, well, if I don't talk about it, they'll forget about it.
Yeah.
We never forgot about a goddamn thing.
No.
Because it's hard for people to forget.
The only stuff we forgot about is there's so much of the bad that we sometimes have to be reminded of some of
the
it.
bullshit you could forget. But if it comes to your wallet, it's hard to forget.
Yeah.
When you're promised, oh, you guys did a great job, I was going to give you some cash, but I'm gonna order you some gift certificates, and then those never
happen.
I was like, what are we supposed to hassle you for something that you promised us, or because it's a bonus and out of his good heart that we can't.
I will say this.
I called that Christmas in August because it was literally like August or it was July or one of those dates. It was the 25th when he offered. So I called it Christmas in August. And so 3 months later, we're still joking about it. It's like, oh, yeah. Those gift certificates are still coming.
I love to
for a job well done.
I love to say that if Seth had come through with every promise he had made,
what's the logic?
I would never have to work again.
What's the where's the logic in not just handing us cash? Instead, take it, the extra work to go put that into like a Visa check card or something.
Yeah.
Or gift card. It's like, what?
It's all dumb.
Yeah.
It's all dumb.
It's just a way to buy himself time.
That's correct.
For bullshit.
That's correct.
That then it's like, I look like a great guy. I don't know if he ever intended doing it, but saying it means you would think he's intending to do it. Never doing it, and then never bringing it up
His
again.
particular psychosis is definitely where he's not
He
malicious.
wants to look like the hero.
Yeah, he's not malicious, I don't believe.
No.
I don't believe he's ever done anything maliciously to me.
But it's stupid because it's all stuff that it's like, you really think we forgot about that?
Yeah.
Just because you didn't mention it?
It's all we talked about for the longest time.
I feel that's why Disney, because we would keep bringing it up. It's like, we're not going to forget about it when you literally are when the thing is like, you were going to go from paying me $700 to $1,500 a week. Yeah. How am I going to forget about
If you're dangling a dream job in front of me, I'm going to remember the next day.
Right.
You know? Because for you, it was a giant payday, a definite change in life. And for me, it's like my dream. It's my dream to work at Disney.
I was starting to just dip my toe into the world of like investing in stocks and stuff like that. So I'm like, man, all that extra money to throw into things. Yeah. I was like very excited.
Mm-hmm. So none of that materialized, but the
So what was some of the man behind the curtain stuff once you got to this new job? He gets you this new job at this new plumbing place. I don't want to say the name.
No, we'll leave the name out, but
he gets you the job there.
Yeah, and it was
they love you so much they get rid of them.
No, here's what happened. So I met them.
Not like they're like, we're going to replace you with them. It was like, we're not getting rid of you too. Was kind of the thing.
That's what it boiled down to. But I had a very short conversation with the owner, a very short conversation with his wife. I think in the 8 weeks that they were still there, I think I saw the owner twice, maybe converse in small ways.
Yeah.
And
Seth had gotten his girlfriend hired there, and then got you hired there.
Yes. And then what was going to happen was once a couple months went by and there was proof of concept, he was going to bring Jeff on board, and then I think he said one time a conversation could be made for Bennett, and I'm like, okay, but I didn't even think my brother was going to get any job there, so I was like, yeah, I'm whatever. So I did I was doing the work of we had 4 techs on the road. I was doing 4 techs worth of work on the road. No, it wasn't really 4 techs worth of work on the road. It was really 2 techs worth of work on the road. So I was really only doing 2 techs worth of work, but there were 4 of us for a fucking 7 months. So that's what boiled down in my head. And I remember at like week 4 or 5, I would told Seth, I'm like, I'm burning out because I was working like 8-10 hour days and I was fucking miserable. But I've got a kid on the way. I'm gonna follow the money train. You know, he negotiated me a decent salary. I need to follow the money train because I need to make money for my family. So fuck it, whatever. So I was putting myself through hell. And then I remember on a Thursday they fired his girlfriend because she was just the most overtly useless thief of all time. Because they had her on camera for I've seen hours of it.
But you say thief, like she wasn't actually stealing money from the company.
No, but she was stealing all the documentation, so that they had
which technically is stealing money.
Yes, yes, because I've come to find out, the MO is every year he goes, he takes their client base with him when he leaves. So you just add up all the clientele bases that he's gathering throughout all of this, and he's got all this great information, which would be under any normal businessman's hand a very good weapon and argument to making a very successful company coming in with this clientele base.
Which
when you're not a great businessman, it's just a bunch of names in a folder.
But which is how he started the previous job.
That's correct.
He stole from your old boss, Patrick.
That's correct.
Everything we found out when he was too distracted.
With his wife's health situation. That's correct.
Was sick, and so his mind was elsewhere. And while nobody was looking, Seth stole that whole clientele base.
Finding out all of that really makes a good argument for fuck that guy. But it's hard to reconcile a lot with even if he did it unintentionally, just the positives of the situation and what ended up coming out from it. Because listen, so she got walked out on a Thursday. Friday, the last time
they had other reasons, but
yeah. Oh yeah.
On camera, they saw she wasn't doing
anything. She wasn't doing anything. Days later, because on that Friday we talked, and it was that Saturday. I think it was that Saturday was the last day I saw him. And then on Monday, and on that Saturday when we talked, it was I don't they fire her back out. Oh, I've got this other stuff. I've got all this other stuff in the works here, this, and I've got all this other stuff in the work, and I'm like, okay, man, okay.
So he was talking about leaving.
No, I'm sorry. It wasn't the last time I saw him. The next Saturday was the next time I saw him because he got fired on a Monday, and what they did was, I showed up. He was in the office, with the two owners and the secretary there. I looked at him. I'm like, so they're having like I remember telling him like, so they got a caucus going on in there, and he goes, yep, and I'm like, uh-huh. And I'm like, okay. So in my mind, I'm like, they're going to fire Seth. And then they're going to fire me. And I was like, thank God I get to go home. Because I was so burned out. I was so burned out. Like, I was legitimately within, like, 'cause I had given up on Disney. I'd flat out given up on it.
Right, but you couldn't not take this job. You needed work.
I needed work, but I was at the point where I was calling other people, and I'd have work. And it wouldn't be all the time. It would be projects here and there for the time being, but I was getting to the point where I was just becoming so miserable it didn't matter to me, and I was starting to feel like I felt in Ocala, and I promised myself I would never put myself through that again.
Right.
So yeah, I was about to leave.
But you were telling us on the group thread that like you in those like weeks where you were working for Seth at this place, that nothing was running smooth.
Nothing.
That it was like like I use the analogy a lot. It's like watching monkeys fuck a football.
It was bad. It was bad. It seemed to be that he spent more time thinking about the next thing than what was happening right now.
Right.
Like this was just a stop.
Yeah.
And he treated it as such. And then so I'm sitting there. They walk him out. Like, I was in my truck. I was just like, I think I was talking to you guys.
It was very smart that they did it on a Monday.
Yeah.
Didn't tell him anything.
Yeah.
So he couldn't like...
Well, they didn't find out until Saturday.
Yeah, but still, it was like, don't give him an opportunity to like kind of like hide things and steal stuff.
Because they found out as they were moving his desk out to where I'm at now. They moved everything to out in the open because they were tired of him being out. And there was a back room where everything was, and they were like, we don't know what's happening, but he's going to be in a place to where we can keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Because they were suspicious, and then they got the call that because he had lied to them about the lawsuits, and then the tax man come knocking, and they don't know what the hell's going on. That was on Saturday.
What do you mean a tax man comes knocking?
Well, their lawyer,
the processor,
their lawyer called them in a panic and went, listen, he's still got this lawsuit going on.
Yeah, but it had nothing to do with taxes.
No.
You're mixing metaphors.
Oh, yeah, I was, I don't
analogies
know.
or whatever.
You know me, I don't fucking know. And he's like, you need to let him go before you get served, so that when you do get served, you can say, hey, we found out. And the moment we found out, so they fired him the very first possible moment, which was when he walked in the door Monday morning.
It was just good timing. Though.
It was very good timing. It was Monday morning. They walked him out, and then they like motioned me in, and I'm like, oh, here we go, and they sat down, and they're like, I want you to know we don't want to fire you.
Now the lawsuits are all Patrick suing him for breaches of contract and stealing customers and whatever the fuck else.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what it is, but it's kind of like all the shenanigans.
And it's not even they won because Seth never fought it.
Yeah.
He
put his head in the sand and thought it was just going to go away.
And there's an argument to be made that Florida Backflow Services is no longer in business because they let the lawsuit happen just so they have a reason to fucking fire Seth. He had no way to get back in the door. That's something that I've talked about with Zach. So,
I mean, that's conspiracy theory stuff unless you talk with them about it.
Because it's just one of those things where it's like if you had fought the lawsuit and you kept it going, it kept the business going, it kept him in there, and it looks to me like everything I know now that the owner was just throwing money in a hole. I saw some of our weeks of there was a few times where he actually did weekly reports.
Mm-hmm.
We never made money. Like, we lost lots of money. It was never profitable.
That's interesting because he's always talking about we had a $50,000 week.
We had
we're killing it.
We had almost at our peak. We had a $7,000 week payroll. Just us. So, it was not sustainable for the work
Seth
we were doing.
and his girlfriend were over fucking paid.
Oh yeah. So anyway, they walked him out. They walked me in. We don't want to fire you. They're like, listen, we want to offer you his job. And I was just like,
it's like were they doing backflows before Seth showed up?
No.
So he just came in and said, I have this company. I just don't have a plumbing license. Let's work together and make some money.
Yes. That's his big sales everywhere he goes now.
Right.
And he still keeps my name and Zach's name in his mouth when he makes these promises
to bring in these really skilled, the best.
Yeah.
And argument could be made. You're two of the best guys
for backflows. Yeah.
In Florida or South Florida.
Yeah. And I would not argue against that. I also, that's where he's at now, where he's doing that. Now they're calling.
So wait a minute. So they say we want you to stay on.
Yeah, they want me to stay on. I told them at the time, I was like, listen, this man came in and did a lot. It's still a lot to process for me. And I told them, I was like, listen, I was a week away from quitting because I'm being run ragged. And they're like, we really find value in you because the numbers showed that you were the only producer of revenue.
Right.
And you were producing a lot of revenue, but it was being counteracted by their salaries.
Yeah.
Just those two of them. The
funny thing is that revenue is sort of being generated by them, but it's such an awful and inefficient way. A, they're getting overpaid for the little bit they're doing.
Yeah.
And B, these stolen clients that you're being sent out to do, half the time you're just claim jumping someone else's deal.
That's correct.
He's sending you out like a month or two before the Patrick would have been going for their yearly thing. Yeah. So he's claim jumping them. But B, there were so many calls, even when I was working there, where we were sent places where either people had no idea or they were like, what? No.
There was...
Or that... so much of the leads didn't pan out. Yeah. And it's like, who's not calling and confirming? Who's not doing this? I felt like there were... A lot of times we would be sent to a CVS.
Yeah.
We'd be sent there. Nobody called or confirmed anything. We show up. They hear, we're here for the annual backflow exam. They're like, okay, because that happens. Yeah. They sign the thing. We do it. Then we bill them, and it goes to corporate, and they write a check. That nobody's checking that this was scheduled, that it was due now. And so we were testing things.
Yeah.
And we would look at the tags on them, and we're like, this was tested a month ago, or this was tested 4 months ago. Now it's all making sense. We were stealing work. And it wasn't supposed to be tested yet.
Yeah.
So they're paying for time that was already paid for.
And big corporations.
The certification was paid till December.
Yeah.
And we're doing it and we're testing it 3 months early. It's like, so we're stealing 3 months of certification from them.
Yeah, it was all they
weren't our clients.
No.
We were stealing them. which we didn't know either.
Throughout the next couple of days, I come to find out that there were 3 companies I won't name that were threatening legal action.
Yeah.
Like actual legal action. That I calmed down one of them, and then the owners had to calm down the other 2 corporations. And they're big ones. So that's how, I mean, it was the fuck show that he left behind.
So you got to imagine the place we were all working at was getting that too.
I know all that too because I've got he left behind a USB drive that has everything on it. Everything.
Yeah.
I saw everything.
Like what? There were people
all the
documentation,
all the documentation, all the the threatening to sue stuff kind of was like that was. Now if there was anything like that,
or the USB drive was all the stuff he stole.
Yeah, pretty much. And
he's not stealing actual money. He's just stealing.
Yeah, just stealing information. Just information.
Clients, yeah.
Basically. So they were like, we want you to have his job. And I'm like, listen, what you're describing to me is a giant fuck show. You obviously need my help to fit all this together because I was the only one doing the work. So, and I was like, I find it abhorrent what he's done here to you people. And lies and miscommunication because the people that he kept talking to me about were not the people I was talking to.
Right.
He was
misrepresenting the upper echelon of this company to be monsters and whatever.
Keeping us apart from each other.
Right.
So
he was good at all that stuff.
Yes.
But then he just couldn't keep track of his lies.
No.
He couldn't keep up with his lies.
Because there's so many.
And there's so
many.
Yeah.
So
some days it literally was. The lying was like breathing.
Yes.
Some days it literally
was. Bro, we're in fucking... This is almost 2 months after it's over. I can't look back at a situation where Seth said a word and I went... And I can go, that's a true statement.
Yeah.
I can't tell you if he ever... When the last time he told me a super true statement was. Because I don't know. It's just everything... It's all a fucking web of lies. So I told him, I was like, listen, I don't even know if I want to do this. I was like, I'm a guy in the field. I'm not an office guy. Here's what we'll do. I was like, how about this? I help you unfuck everything. Let's get everything back to zero, where you don't owe anybody anything, no one owes you anything, and it's kind of a clean slate. And then at that time, depending what goes through that, because halfway through this process, you might guys decide, hey, we're in our late 60s. We don't want to deal with this shit.
Or they may not like you.
Yeah, maybe the business relationship doesn't work out.
Or you're not suited for this new task.
Yeah, maybe. I told him, I was like, I don't want to tell you guys yes, then I don't want to do this.
What's funny is your time at Chewy didn't tell you it's okay to take a desk job. And you were like, I got to be out there working my hands. And I think you've come around to like, these desk jobs ain't so bad.
It's not. And the longer I'm doing it now, the better I am at like managing that time, keeping myself busy because I'm keeping myself busy. And because a lot of these leads are all old leads and shit and just trying to like do it on my own because I've got nothing. I've never done this before. But it's so far working out okay. It's getting better, and like the weeks are starting to fill up better.
My question is: are you done unfucking? And
yes,
but now you're starting to create a new business.
That's correct.
Okay.
I would say within the last 2 weeks, everything that's on the table's 100% me.
And so all this stolen clientele, what happened with that?
It's unusable.
But you had I'm trying to lead you into having you went and talked to the guy it was stolen from.
Oh yeah. Me and Patrick sat down. We had a conversation. We cleared the air.
And so he explained everything as to why.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I got him and Zach hooked up again. So now, so Zach went in and they cleared their air
because they were suing Zach for no compete.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But they were only doing it because everyone
went to work for Seth.
Well, he was in Seth's. He was in Seth's bubble,
right.
And they wanted Seth, but they can't. They both have.
Well, it's a good way to hurt Seth if his best guy can't work.
It's not even so much that their lawyer told him you have to pursue Zach too because they both signed the same non-compete.
Right. Otherwise, you're inconsistent, and then they throw it out.
Yes. So Zach just got caught in the crossfire.
Which is funny because Zach's the only one that hired a lawyer.
Yeah.
and actually dealt with things so he wasn't in trouble.
That's correct.
And Seth put his head in the sand and wished it away like everything else. And then all of a sudden cease and desist are coming to the parent company or whatever. And next thing you know, because he won't handle anything and because he was totally in the wrong stealing the business from the guy.
Yeah.
That then we were all out of work.
Yeah.
But yet he's looking out for us.
Yeah, so it's all. I mean, it's at this point, things come and go. Like I just get phone calls from people like, "Hey, Steph's out here doing this now and this," and I don't want to deal with it anymore. But he's using my name.
This is where we want to get to. This is the fun part. So you're starting to get reference calls.
Yeah.
Now that he's looking for work.
Yeah.
And so you're just, how much of a shoot are you giving these people?
Oh, bro, I'm holding nothing back.
So, here, let's role play. Ring, ring. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Yes, is this Marco Salvino?
Be one and the same?
Yes, we're Joe Blow Plumbing here in Fuck Yourself, Florida. We're in the process of interviewing a Seth Gregg, and he supplied your name and number for a reference, and we were just kind of like dotting our I's and crossing our T's at this point. But we just you gotta call around and at least confirm a few things. So I know you worked with him. Could you give us any advice or insight, or should we hire him or not?
Well, first off, Joe, the first and best thing that you can do is walk Seth out the door immediately. The second best thing you can do is never allow him back in the front door. And the next best thing you can do is never allow him to contact you again. He ruins every business he goes to. He is terrible at his job, and he's going to ruin your company for thousands of dollars. She might cause some legal issues for you down the road as well, because he's got a lawsuit pending on him at all times. When he's lost, by the way, no matter what he tells you. And that the owner of that lawsuit, Patrick Murray, will come after him and your company if you do employ him. I will never work for him again. I want nothing to do with him ever again, no matter what he says. And if he's talking about the other tech, Zach, that's a...
he had offered. He had mentioned that you two might come work.
I can talk for him as well. He'll never work with Seth. No man on the planet hates him more than Zach does. So you're good to go to never expect us to work for you, because I'm happily employed and I'm not following that man for any reason ever again.
Well, Mr. Salvino, you've given us a lot to consider here, and I appreciate your candor and honesty. It's refreshing to get such an interesting response to somebody. I don't think we've ever gotten this much. We have definitely been told that people are crackheads or whatever, but this is a whole new one for us.
If he says the word Disney World, punch him in the face for me.
Now, I know you don't say all
no,
of
no.
But do you mention that everywhere he goes, the place gets sued?
I tell them the same. I'm like, I'm still it's now been 2 months. I'm still unfucking some things. Yeah. Every now and then a phone call comes in and we're just all the stuff we did in Jupiter, I'm still unfucking that.
Wow.
Still unfucking that.
Wow.
So there's a lot, man.
What's incredible is two things. It's like he was so inefficient in collecting money.
Mm-hmm.
When essentially, like, if everything's on the up and up, and you're going to do work for someone, Zach has had it all worked out where you get the credit card information, you get them to sign the authorization. They know you're coming. They know you're doing this work. If it's just testing, you're gonna get billed as soon as we're finished here. There's no collecting of money from you. If there is, you have to have the check ready, or it's not getting.
That's
certified.
where I'm at.
It's not. Yeah. Here's the bill. Pay us whenever.
I don't have any outstanding work right now.
And then them having to call around.
Yeah.
How much of outstanding money?
$24,000
was that collected on
in 8 weeks of work.
In 8 weeks. So you think at the other job?
Oh, a fucking
year and a half.
There's one client we did. I won't name them. Where I went out, did the work, and they started being a little iffy. So I went back to the old paperwork, and I happened to notice that it said 90 days overdue on the paperwork. and like she had put like payment and like question marks or whatnot, and so I called the guy. Finally, after sending an email, I'm like, hey, listen, we've done the work, this and that. I need a signature here. I need to see the money. He goes, oh, okay, cool, and then blah blah blah. I'm like, hey, by the way, what was the situation with last year? It says here that it took over 90 days to get paid, and he's like, they never
heard from him.
They never heard from him.
Yeah.
Never contacted.
Yeah.
He's apparently very bad at answering emails. I've come to find out. But if you call him, he answers right like second ring, and will take care of anything. And that's how I dealt with it. So I've come back and all these clients, I'm like, they just never talked to anybody.
And it's like, it's the laziness.
They sent
like,
emails
we
and
kept
called it a
getting
day.
We kept getting yelled at. Get their email. Get
no,
their email. That's
no
how
following up. No following.
That's
through.
how we get paid. Get the email. It's like, no, you're supposed to get paid on the spot, or have the credit card and you bill them, or
in 2 weeks,
or if they haven't paid and you let them get away with not paying, you call them. Sending an email is like, if you talk to them on the phone and schedule this thing, then you have the right number.
Yep.
To call them and go, hey, you owe us money.
It took, in the last 2 weeks, any client that I've done that is not some kind of property management company that has to be invoiced, I've collected on site.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I have no outstanding work.
Yeah. I mean, corporate, like you said, property management.
That does take time.
When CVS or Walgreens, those types of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not getting a check cut from the manager on site.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So it's crazy, man. It's crazy because this isn't a hard job at all at any level. I'm now doing the work of like 3 fucking people.
Yeah.
But
getting paid for one.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with this proof of concept. I wanted to make sure I could do it.
Right.
It started.
Well, so these people, have they since you started the unfucking process, and it's been, there's time removed where now you could see like kind of like BC and AD kind of thing before BS, before Seth, and after that, have they on their own like said, hey,
oh, they love me,
acknowledgement, and
they were like, they think I'm doing fantastic.
Well, that's good,
because it's like this isn't an ideal situation for anybody.
Right.
I didn't want this, and I kind of agreed to do it because I felt bad, and I was like, listen, I'll collect a few more paychecks. Because when I first told them,
you felt like you were just trying to get them out of a situation.
Yes, I was doing the good person.
And if they were going to be kind enough to keep you paid for a little while,
that would be great. And then when it was all done, it was like, well, thank you for your time. Well, thank you so much for letting me help and for paying me along the way. Not that you were
responsible in any way, but but you were there.
Yeah. And then it just became like, well, just do your best and we'll see where it goes.
I mean, so this is totally the guy behind the curtain kind of thing. Like don't expose Oz the Great. And
yeah, exactly. That's 100% what it was.
Yeah,
100%. And my thing with everybody is I just tell them honestly how it is. This is the truth of the situation.
I love that he doesn't understand. Well, that he's probably never reached out to you really since you stopped working there. That he knows enough to not try and chit chat you, because you're now seen behind the curtain. Because he knows that you went in the office and they buried him to you, and B that he assumes you stayed and that you went through his shit and found out.
They sat me down on his computer. They opened it up for me, told me the password, and then they go. Yeah, like I think for the first couple hours, I just surfed the computer.
Yeah, just
went through files and they would give me the worst stuff and I would try to start piecing it together.
But it's funny that I guess he doesn't separate the fact that he kind of fucked you twice.
Yeah,
with work.
Yeah,
and then the second time he threw this plate of you end up with this plate of shit that you got to eat now. Mm-hmm. Trying to unfuck everything he did. Now, again, he doesn't know the details of it, but you're not on the internet looking for a job either. No. So he knows that he would then think to use you as a reference, like, oh, he won't bury me. It's like, no, he fucked you.
Yeah,
he fucked me.
Yeah.
He fucked Zach. He fucked your brother. He fucked the people that put faith in him that when they were doing Florida Backflow. He fucked the owner Patrick at the other place, and he fucked these people.
Yep. And 2 more companies since.
What, that he went to work for?
Yes.
Shortly?
He's like collecting them like Pokemon cards.
Yeah, but I mean, what's that situation like?
So the situation basically at this point is he goes to a company, he goes to fuck it up, and the first company he took, was it 3 weeks? I think it was 3 or 4 weeks, and he took all their clientele when they got served from.
So what happens is Patrick finds out where he's landed, sends them immediately a letter.
At first he starts with a phone call, and then they tell him to fuck off, and he goes, okay.
And then he sues them.
Yep.
And then they're like, well, you got to go. We just got sued.
And now it's at the point where, because here's the thing, like, he doesn't have to put any work history, but he has to put Patrick's work history because that's where he got into the business. That's what started all of this. So these people are going to, on their own, and reach out wondering what the fuck is going on. And Patrick just goes, oh, just call A, B, C, D, and E. If you get to E, you must really want to hire this guy, but you won't get to E.
Right.
You'll get to B just to get a verification.
See, I used... See, the ironic part is that, like, I can use Florida Backflow Services to say, like, I work for them, and the relief is that if I give them that, it has an address, you can look it up online, but they're out of business now. Yep. So, and then the number that was forwarded isn't operational anymore.
As far as I know.
So all that you can Google, it existed, but it's like, well, it's kind of crafty when you can you can fake a resume.
Yeah.
With businesses that no longer exist, and you can go, listen, pandemic, it went out of business.
Yeah.
I worked there X number of years, but you can't call and prove it.
Yep.
But it existed.
Oh, you damn sure know that he's got that.
So he's doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's going to come to a matter of time where, and obviously we know that he's looking for work elsewhere.
So you've got what? How many reference calls have you gotten? 2?
2. I've had 2.
And you just say, don't hire the guy?
Yeah, don't hire this fucking guy. Yeah. He's just going to ruin everything.
So you're not helping him, man. What the hell?
Sorry.
You ran all out of generosity.
I can't sit there and say that he didn't do positive, because even if he didn't mean to, he did.
Right, but you can't let someone else walk into a bear trap.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because the problem is if I don't speak up, he's just going to keep doing this.
You had enough of a conscience to try and help these people out. Why would you then let other people get in that same situation?
And I'm done. I'm done with him. I'm done. So it's like
apparently,
fuck me once. Shame on you. Fuck me twice. Shame on me.
Apparently, they're not telling him that you're giving bad references. If
maybe someone will, and then he'll that part will stop. I just want him to keep my name out of his mouth. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all. So I think at some point.
It's weird because if he's saying, oh, I got 2 great guys that I can bring with me.
Yeah.
Or 1 great guy.
Yeah.
If that's what they're trying to talk to you about, that's interesting. If it's just like job rep, like as a person or whatever, I mean, that's like I always thought, like, if when I left SuperCon, that if I had used Broder as a job reference, and they called him, and actually got him on the phone, and asked, that he would at least do that solid.
Yeah.
But. In this situation, how can you?
No, it's terrible, and it's whatever, man. Whatever. I will after a conversation with one of the Patrick Survivor. I mean, the Seth Survivor group. We'll have T-shirts in the mail.
I feel like I need to give Zach a call just to see how he's doing.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's. In fact, I'm supposed to help him with some electrical work. I gotta do that. Yeah, because he's afraid to touch it. He's more remodeling on his house. He's like, I don't want to die. And I'm like, all right, I'll come over and do it for you. It's 110. It's not going to be a big deal.
Flip the breaker off.
It's oh my God. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, it just sucks, man. It sucks because I wanted to believe. I really wanted to give the guy the benefit of the doubt.
Honestly, that Disney thing was real, like, for a minute there. Really felt real.
I'll
tell you, it really felt real. I was like, we were both like, we kept like, each of us at different times would try and keep the other in check. Like, we can't get too excited about this. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We know it's 95% not going to happen.
Yeah.
And yet, he would always come with some detail that made you believe it was still in the works.
It would go a week. He would go a week. You wouldn't be bringing it up, and he would go, by the way. And you're like, fuck.
Or we would ask.
Yeah, or we would.
Try to catch him flat-footed or something.
There was a moment in time where I was like, I'm never going to talk about this again.
Yeah, you said that, but then I fucked up and
then you fucked up, and it started the whole cycle over again.
But like for a minute there, when you, like the intricacy and the amount of planning, like, we're going to start it as a new business and call it like the Parks Division, and here's the logo we're working on. Yeah. All this stuff that you're like, how much energy could you put into like just maintaining a lie? You're like, it's gotta be, there's gotta be some reality there. So that's what we believe. And then in your head, you try not to do it, but you're like, oh, if I'm gonna get paid this much, I can do this with my life, and I could do that with my life. I could get a car, I can do this, I can pay off this. And you start getting ahead of yourself. Yep. And fuck me. Yeah. We know better. Yep. We know better. It happened, and yet we still get ahead of ourselves.
It happened, man.
That's the saddest fucking thing. Yeah. That Disney thing was cruel. Yeah. It was cruel. Mm-hmm. Especially for people, like, he doesn't get it. Because he's jumping from one bullshit $100,000 a year job to another. I'm like, pay your dues, eat shit, make $500 a week, because you can get your foot in the door for the promise of better things to come that never come.
See,
so when that Disney thing came around, you're like, talk about the honey dicking of honey dicking.
And the hardest part for me, the part I never reconciled, as much as we tried, was how blasé he was about it. Now let's be honest, and for everybody listening, if you're still listening at this point. Think about your dream job.
This is not for most of our people. This is just this is you and me. Just
but think about your dream job. Now imagine someone's offering it to you. Now imagine that person's a giant fucking scumbag who has no intention of giving you that job, but he's going to lead you along, or she.
It's going to lead you along. It's weird
because that's what happened.
Does he have no intention, or is he? You know what I mean? At some point. I understand the liar's dilemma. Yeah. Where you have to keep lying so that you're not found out to be a liar. Yeah. But for a while there, he's got to be...
bought in as well, yeah.
You have to be thinking he's either believing his own lies or he's trying to really manifest it.
I wonder if maybe...
or it's real.
Yeah. It leads me to believe that maybe actually he talked to somebody. If we're going to go down the...
It feels like... with the amount of detail, with the type of vehicles and underground shit, and how you know all that stuff they were talking about, that there had to have been some communication. He couldn't have researched all that and found all that out. Yeah, and to do all that just to keep lying to us, doesn't make any sense either. Yeah, so there had to have been something there, but I don't know how far along in the 2 or 3 or 4 months that this fucking was dragged out of being like the pie in the sky. Let's stick around. Let's see what happens. We got nothing better yet anyways kind of deal. That it was.
Which also made it worse.
Where it switched from him actively still trying to secure it to him just now having to fucking CYA about it. And just pray we eventually forget about it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't forget about shit.
No. It's hard. You can't.
No gift cards, no kickbacks from the installs and Sunrise.
We sell all these little fucking things. We'll be $5 a piece. Nothing ever materialized from any of it. None of it. Ever.
In fact, if you believe...
God forbid, God forbid we ever got on the kickback system or the bonus system or the commission system. The fucking accounting of that. To trust him to do right, and then the pure hassle on the other end of I hate being the guy to have to keep coming up and going, hey, what about this? You haven't paid me for that. Yeah, chasing money.
He tried
chasing
the
money
thing.
Is why I fucking stopped doing art for a while.
He tried that with me when our first conversations, and I was like, Seth, I am not working for commission ever again.
Chasing money is miserable.
No, that shit.
Having to go to someone for the 4th time. Yeah, and ask about money.
No, I'm not doing
that. Was promised. Is having to chase him for my raise that was promised was miserable enough.
The greatest thing that has happened to me in my adult work life is I know what the fuck I'm worth. Yeah, and depending on what you're asking me to do, I know what that's worth to you employer. I know what that work is worth, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to pay me to do it. Or we're not going to have a relationship, and that's fine too.
So how much? I guess it's. I mean, I'm just trying to I keep coming back to certain things, but so how satisfying is it though to get a reference call like that and be able to at least
I'm not going to lie to you.
Dump on him a little bit.
I'm not going to lie to you. In this whole situation, I'm like, the worst part about all of this is he did all these things, but now he's off to the next venture, and I'm never going to have an opportunity to pay it forward. So having that opportunity to have a stake in that.
So will you get that call and then you
a little gratifying, Ben. It's a little gratifying.
I mean, I know it's real quick that you're telling us about it.
Yeah.
How quick do you tell the bosses about it?
Oh no, it's like the office thing.
Yeah.
They find out because what normally happens is the business will call Patrick. He'll go, listen, I got nothing to say about the man that you can't read legally on, that you can't search up. But how about you call these people? Or how about you call these people? Like the list of people now that he can give as references to, oh, you want Seth character references?
I didn't.
A, B, C, D, and E.
Yeah. I guess he has to claim he worked there.
He has to claim he worked at Patrick's because that's where all this, his entire portfolio originated.
Bonafides, his certifications.
Yeah, he has to always say them. And he probably uses Florida Backflow because it's out of business.
Like I said, there's no way to confirm it.
But
unless you looked, it's really hard to find that their parent company is still in business and that parent company you could call someone and
so there's a lot. There's still a good old boy network.
You and I,
trades, so.
I would have loved. We should have done it. We should have gone back to the parent company because it was all the same building, and just been like, "Look, what happened? We're just curious."
Well, I know what happened.
Oh, you talked to someone, or you just?
Well, kind of. I don't really want to say it on the podcast. It's like I don't just for legal issues, but I'll tell you off air. It wasn't anything. It was just shitty business on both ends.
Okay.
Shitty business from the owner's end. Shitty business from Seth's end. And
yeah, they weren't champions of good people either.
No, they're not. But they're very successful in what they do, as opposed to Seth, who's very unsuccessful in what he does.
Right.
Unless, of course, you just count the fact that he can grift people for fucking. Thousands of dollars
for a year or two,
yeah, or now months at a time,
yeah,
weeks at a time. So yeah, man, it is what it is. At this point, if he's done anything unintentionally well for me, it's the company I'm working for is really supportive of me doing what I'm currently doing, trying to fit into this new role, and yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be a pretty successful thing moving forward for me, so I'm happy with that. Because even if it doesn't, even the money doesn't end up appearing the way that I hope it would, I feel better. I go into work and I'm not dreading the experience.
Yeah, it's honest
good
work.
People.
You're getting paid. You're being respected.
Mm-hmm.
You're not being lied to.
Yep.
You're not being frustrated with the runaround of inefficient people. A, spending half their time covering up their bullshit, and then B, half the time running the business poorly.
Yeah.
It's got to be so much less stress.
The worst part of my day is interacting with sometimes somewhat irresponsible product managers or property managers.
Yeah.
Where they're taking their time lollygagging on shit where it's like, hey, man, yes or no? What are we doing?
Yeah.
That's like the worst part of my day. Everything else is gravy. I don't love it, It shows I'm good at this side, but it's taking time, and I've got so much more to learn. But I can feel myself becoming more comfortable with the situation. So yeah, in a way, I can always rationalize that in some small part he did this stuff for me that was, that ended up being good. He kept me paid through a pandemic. We never lost a day of work. So
yeah, I'll say that. And then now listen.
Yeah,
I'm going to bury him a little bit here.
Okay,
but not in the way you think.
Yeah,
he did keep us busy during the pandemic. But some of that bullshit work
was bullshit work.
Well, there was the bullshit work for the business, but there was also the bullshit work like go to my girlfriend's house
and do this, put
drywall or redo a door or remodel her fucking bathroom or hang mirrors or build her equipment. So there was a lot of bitch work being done for her. And
we did get bid the stairwell door though, and I like that.
there was some cool. I mean, we did work for her.
Yeah.
We did, but some of it was like, it was not. It was like our trade work that we have done elsewhere.
Yeah.
You and I, and we usually get paid better for that.
Yes.
And then 2, it was like, who really paid for all that?
Yeah.
Was that all paid for on the company card?
Of course.
I mean, that's. And then when we're begging for tires for the trucks, because we can see,
fucking
there's
steel.
no tread, and you can see the fucking the mesh underneath, the wire stuff underneath, whatever it's called. But there's 2 stacks of new tires for his car and her SUV. Anthony Jeanette's calling.
Oh no.
That
Oh no.
That you're like, well, there's a definite misappropriation of funds going on here. And
can you even answer it?
Yeah, I answer it.
Okay.
Hello.
Wake the fuck up, Slapnuts.
Huh? I'm doing a podcast. Here
You're in the middle of the podcast, buddy.
What was this? The Nerdcast?
No. We're just finishing up shitting on Seth.
We've spent.
Breaking news!
we are literally 2 hours and 43 seconds into talking all over the place, probably incoherently, where you can't even put this puzzle together.
No,
but talking about Seth and the bullshit.
I mean, this has been a groundbreaking month. We've got Blake to open up, and you guys are opening up. This is wild.
Yeah,
and
you and Billy finally had a little bit of a heart to heart.
No heart to heart.
Right.
They had
It was no heart to heart.
It was like a contract signing in the ring.
That was one of the ugliest things ever.
I meant to listen the next day, but I had too much work at the office and I couldn't.
When he gets caught flat-footed, when he literally, I bring up Billy, he goes, never heard of the guy, and then Billy jumps in, and AJ's like, oh no.
I got bamboozled, bushwhacked.
That's fantastic.
A lot of flim-flam going on in that one.
Listen, the best part is Ben made a couple comments in there that kind of irked Billy a little bit. Don't think I didn't notice that. You made like 1 or 2, and he's like, "You better watch yourself, Temples." I was like, "You better tread lightly, pal. You may think you're on his side, but you're not."
Billy's on only one person's side.
I take great.
He also took a shot at Blake. So
yeah, he took a tremendous shot at Blake.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What do we owe the pleasure of this call? What are you eating there?
I'm driving to a wedding. It is pouring raining. You can't see 2 feet in front of you, and the wedding is outside.
We had to talk about this wedding last night. I won't name names or get into details, but you should have definitely brought Blake as your plus one.
Oh my goodness!
Well, Blake's in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Which, once again, did anybody know Blake was working in New Jersey this weekend?
No,
he never mentioned it.
No, I just heard that he was on some airline, and he said, "What a rib."
Yeah, Spirit Airlines.
Oh my God, Spirit! Yeah, that's a rib airline. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'm surprised they have seats.
Right. So yeah, I'm going to this wedding. It is outdoors, pouring rain. I wore sneakers because I said I am not wearing dress shoes to an outdoor wedding in the mud on a farm, no less.
You should have worn like fucking. You got those high-end water boots.
Fatso, what were you able to squeeze into for this wedding, though?
Wait, hold on. I weighed myself, lost another 5 pounds this week. So suck it, Temple.
Oh shit, AJ's got the eye of the tiger, man.
So he's back to 0.
I had Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, but you probably don't own a suit that fits.
A suit? I wore dress slacks and a polo with a jacket because it's 50 degrees and raining.
Oh, you're gonna.
I'm definitely gonna show up embarrassing looking to this wedding.
Yeah,
I got
good.
my fanny pack. I'm contemplating: do I wear the fanny pack into the wedding, or not?
I mean, you should. I feel like the more absurd and out of place you are, the better chances are you're going to get laid.
This may or may not help you.
True.
This may or may not help you, AJ, but I think the only thing that could make it better is if you also come in eating from the bucket some KFC.
That would be great.
Wiping it on your shirt.
Yeah.
Wiping your hand on your shirt.
I feel
I
as if that's the only way you could make that ensemble better.
Oh, my God.
Oh God! Well, I'm glad I called during the podcast.
Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah.
Get a twofer
I
here.
don't even remember what I called for. There
And
was
I
a
don't
reason, but I
remember.
forgot.
Yeah.
You were probably just gonna try and fat shame me and ask me how much pizza I'd eaten today.
Well, that was probably part of it. I also, I've been thinking about Billy a lot. My nails, I bit them so bad, my fingers hurt. Like they're all sore from biting them during the podcast. He made me so nervous.
Are you attempting to get back into shape for this, buddy?
He has to.
I have to because if I don't, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah. If you show up and blow the first 2 spots, bro, I hope to God you've written your will.
Yeah. I know what I called for. I remembered.
What?
Did you see that J-Dog is running the Rusty Brooks Memorial Show? June 25th.
Well, we knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Well, so Marco, are you booked? Is this your return?
No, I'm not booked. I haven't heard from J-Dog in years. No one's booking me, buddy. Nobody remembers I exist.
Well, do you guys want to know the funny thing about this?
What?
I think I'm going to be down there that weekend
For what?
because the kids wanted to go to the beach, and that's the only weekend I could figure. And that's the only beach I'm going to go to is down there. And I said, well, maybe we'll go down there.
Wait. They want to go to the beach.
So you're gonna drive?
And instead of just driving east,
Oh no, the beaches here don't compare.
you're going to drive
we can't go to-
how far is 9 hours, 11 hours south?
Something like that.
You can't. Myrtle Beach is. I mean, you got to be a hooker or a crackhead to go to Myrtle Beach. You can't go there.
I mean, I'm
And
not
then
complaining.
I don't consider the North Florida beaches don't count.
Yeah,
You can't go
we'll
there
definitely take the appearance of the Janazo, but
Well, he's got the kids, so I don't know
Yeah.
how much we're going to get of him.
we can get them on the podcast too.
They won't
I
do
think
it.
we should go. I think we should go to the show.
Oh yeah,
Pay our
no, I'll
respects to
go,
Rusty
oh
Brooks.
no, I'll go to the show, 100%. Yeah,
I think we should.
that'll be very interesting.
I'm
very
just saying.
interesting.
Boy,
Yeah.
he's going to get a lot of people to work for free because it's Rusty. Huh?
Oh yeah, no one's
Yeah.
no one's getting paid on that show.
Yeah.
Just J Dog's the only one getting paid on that show.
Yeah, tribute show.
I mean, I could work a tune-up match then.
Bro,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck you're trying to assume. My ass ain't getting anywhere near a ring.
Damn.
I'm sorry, brother. Listen, I thought about that because when we had Billy on, and Billy started going, "What about you, DBK? When you get back in the ring?" Dude, like you're not gonna understand. Like I went home and thought about it, and then I was just like, because I was like, "Oh well, maybe AJ and at the end of their match, I'll do a thing." And I was thinking all kinds of weird shit. But then I was like, "Are you really gonna put through all the effort you're gonna have to put through to be able to bump again for one fucking match?" Like, nah, I'm not doing that
Right.
shit. That's way too much fucking work.
Well, you're not like on the precipice of death.
or obesity.
Physically.
So yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like walking up the stairs isn't a heart attack risk for you like it is for fat
Right,
people.
right.
It does take a lot more
True.
time than it used to, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm a little, I might not look out of shape, but I assure you, I'm out of shape, buddy. I told you the other week. I was like, oh, I'll start doing push-ups again. I did like 100 push-ups on a Monday, and by Wednesday, I still couldn't fucking move. Okay.
I had this conversation earlier with him before we went on the podcast that like I ate myself into such a fucking stupor last night. I was so uncomfortable I couldn't sleep all night. And I know I need to find something between doing absolutely nothing for 4 months in a row and doing 10 push-ups, because if I
Yeah.
try 10 push-ups right now, my heart will explode.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, no, there's no fucking way that we're. I mean, bro. I don't even know if I could do one of the Ginonzo special gimmick matches where we just don't do shit for 15 minutes, work around a donut, and go, and then I end up being powerbombed through a fucking box of them. I don't even. I might blow up halfway through that, buddy.
Well, we probably both would. It'd be
Yeah,
absolutely embarrassing.
it would be most embarrassing. I don't need the last.
There'd be like your match, the 3 minutes of it would have an intermission in the middle of it.
We'd sit down and reevaluate our life decisions halfway through.
We were both hands on knees, breathing heavy.
I'd almost do it for that, with the rest of the crowd chanting or talking shit. We're like, we're trying our best.
It'd be so bad. Rusty would come back from the dead to go, "That was the shits."
It'd still be the most entertaining part of that show, though.
Right.
I'm not going to say that. I'm sure it's probably going to be a good show. He'll get it's Rusty's show. They'll get a lot of guys there. It'll be fun.
You know what? I don't even know who would even be on the show.
I don't care, buddy.
No idea.
I'm going to be high as fuck.
I mean,
so it's going to be fun for me no matter what.
I'm sure, as seen on TV, Diamante will be there, and
probably
As seen on TV.
we'll probably have ourselves a Ricky Martinez, who is
yeah.
unretired. That was a short retirement.
you'll have a Dash Maverick sighting.
Was that a short joke?
He had a kid, was never going to wrestle again. Now he's all over the place.
That's it. I want to work Dash Maverick. That's it.
Buddy, you don't.
That's my tune-up.
You guys should have you. The match should be for the Mario mustache.
You've got a problem of speaking things into existence. You might have to take a second and think about this before you end up having to.
Right. I'm gonna shut up. Now.
You know what's gonna happen is Billy's gonna show up to that to start the angle. And there will be a physical start to the angle.
It's always the kick to the back you don't see coming.
Right. It won't even be part of the show.
No. It'll probably be like the locker room or some shit. Billy doesn't understand that sometimes cameras are off. Oh shit!
Are you guys doing the Nerdcast after this?
Yeah,
like a 5-hour podcast.
No, we're gonna take a break afterwards, and we'll take a break in between. I need to I left my phone in the other room.
Where are you going, Shinju? Where are you going?
No, I've got.
Hey, listen, I'm only like 4 waking hours into my diet.
Yeah.
I'm still I'm still susceptible to words like Shinju.
What sucks, AJ, is you've put us in a bad situation because we haven't publicly been to a wrestling show in almost a few years for me. I'm like, God damn it! If I
went to that Gangrel show with AJ.
Yeah. I was like, if I show up looking like I look, and everyone's gonna be like, "What the fuck happened? Did Prime have cancer?"
No, just bring me along with you. You'll look great.
So I'm like, I have to now get in some semblance of fake shape just so people don't look at me like I'm weird, you know?
Oh, look at
this!
this!
But see, you have an excuse now. You just go, baby.
Oh, that's right. I do have the built-in baby excuse.
I'm married. I have a baby.
Married and have a kid. Yeah, there you go. Thanks.
I was thinking, listen to this insecure bitch.
Because it's like I haven't gone anywhere and seen anybody.
I'm looking at him going, motherfucker, I've been wearing the same hoodie for 5 days because it's the only thing that fits.
It's funny. We spoke for 2 hours shitting on Seth, and the 15 minutes we speak with AJ is the best part of the podcast.
Oh God!
All right. Well, at least we got that out of the way. At least we kind of talked about it.
I mean, Anthony, do you want to shit on Seth for a minute while we have you on the?
Is there anything you want to say in this piece?
Listen. I never worked for the guy because I was smarter than that. I guess, right? So.
Well,
just kidding.
You chose a different career path.
Yeah.
You know what? My only Seth story is the night we almost died driving home from SuperCon because he fell asleep in the passenger seat and I fell asleep driving. And I woke up and we were in the middle of Glades and Lyons, in the middle of the intersection at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh shit. And I was sober, I just fell asleep. And I got to the house and I was like, we could have died, been arrested. Oh my God, that was what a shit show.
Isn't it weird?
I was like, you were supposed to stay awake. He's like, you were driving, you were supposed to stay awake.
It's weird.
Yeah.
All the drugs and dumb bad decisions you make in your 20s that you totally should have gotten in some kind of legal trouble for, and then you fall asleep because you're in your 30s and you're just fucking tired and you're like, oh man, I could have died.
Right. So lucky we didn't.
Yeah, no, there's nothing more to really say, man. After 2 hours of it, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll find stories.
I'll leave you guys to your Nerdcast. I'm going to drive to a hurricane wedding that I'm going to. I'll make sure I film.
Isn't that good luck? Don't they get divorced twice as fast when it's raining on their wedding day?
Supposedly it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly it's good luck.
Oh, really? Because the 2 people I know who've got married when it rained, both divorced within a year.
I mean, is marriage really good at anything? No, probably not.
I can't shit on marriage, sir. I'm not in that position.
People are listening. Be careful.
I can make some marriage jokes with Marco, but I don't want to.
No, let's not do that. We've had such a nice time. All right, buddy.
You have a long, complicated history with marriages.
Go enjoy. Go enjoy your meal.
Lord.
Your free meal.
Jeez. That's exactly what I'm going. Free meal and see if there's any single wound.
This guy's driving 5 hours for a free fucking rubber chicken.
I don't even know what the meal is. I was hoping it was prime rib.
It's free. Does it matter?
You're right. It doesn't. But
I hope you break your diet.
well, I will. I'll give you one bit of information. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning and I was sick to my stomach. I sat over the toilet, dry heaving. Nothing was coming out. I was like, ah! Nothing was coming out. Just spit. I don't know why my stomach was so fucked up, but I've had to stop and shit twice on this drive already. So.
Oh my god.
You must have gotten into a bad batch of something.
I don't know what it is, but I guarantee you, I probably dropped another 2 to 3 pounds overnight.
You know you got to cook that chicken thoroughly before you eat it.
I had steak last night, so it could have been that.
Yeah.
Maybe I used the air fryer because I was air fryer phase.
Air fryer steak?
Yeah.
Oh.
You got to clean that thing in between uses.
Ben.
Yeah,
Ben.
I haven't cleaned it for the 2 weeks I've had it.
Clean is a.
He said he hasn't cleaned it for the 2 weeks he's had it. That's
Oh.
probably why you're throwing up at night.
Hey, I want to
But
talk
listen,
shit.
coming from the guy who hasn't changed his sweatshirt in 5 days.
Yeah, but I'm not going to eat something that's been fucking sitting out for 4 days either.
Oh, the hell you wouldn't.
I mean, like steak. A donut, yes.
In fact, some would argue that donuts are at their best when they're 4 days old.
I don't know that anyone would argue that, but I know you nuke it for 15 seconds. It tastes brand new.
Yeah, it's. You just
I
nuke
made
all the
keto
germs off
brownies.
it. That's all.
I made
No, it
keto
makes it
brownies and I left them out one night, and the next day they were like hard as a rock. And I was like, I am not throwing these away. I just put them in the microwave. It was like new.
Yeah, see? Us fat guys gotta share this
Right.
knowledge.
Well, enjoy your
Gotta
free
be innovative.
show and meal, and
All right, you guys have fun.
all right, take it easy, man.
All right, bye.
All right, let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah, it's gone on.
Yeah, he's going to watch a
This shit show's gone on long enough.
yeah.
let's start talking nerd shit.
All right.
All right.
I can't imagine that unless you're real inside baseball with us, that this was the podcast for you. But
Yeah.
but fuck it, we
We said what we needed to say.
yeah, and you know
We
it's-
talked about it. It's now something that we've done. So
Well, you know what the benefit of this is that if we ever reference back to work situations and stuff,
Yeah.
maybe some people will understand a little more.
yeah, I'm sure that now that it's out there in the zeitgeist, we can call back to it. More
Also,
often.
we've vague mentioned stuff in
Yeah.
previous things,
and as we
and now people are like, oh,
and as we stop giving fucks about things, we'll open up about them.
yeah.
You know, as they
mean,
become less and less
Oh,
important.
I got a long list of things you should be talking about.
Well, there's more podcasts to be had, Ben.
You need to strengthen your marriage with a second kid before we can talk about some of them.
Okay, it's time to go.
All right, okay, bye.
Okay, bye.